Chapter 96. No, a shout could be heard. Whoosh, as fast as a ray of light, he flashed in front of the master of Wang Valley. With a grab of his hand, the power of the Holy King rumbled and dispersed the ice and thunder feast. Li Guang's figure appeared. The seal of time only worked on certain people. Only the master of Wang Valley was sealed, Li Guang was not. The momentary obstruction allowed the master of Wang Valley to escape. At this moment, the barely visible purple dragon disappeared. The master of Wang Valley was freed from the seal of time. Even though her body was frozen in time, her thoughts were still present. The pain in her chest caused her hair to stand on end. "I will kill you," the master of Wang Valley screamed. Her injuries were minor, but her reputation was more important. A holy king had been injured by a junior. It was Li Guang who had saved her from a second attack. Such humiliation would never be forgotten. Li Guang glared at her. "Do you really think I am just a decoration? If you attack again, I will personally kill you. You have only yourself to blame for bullying a disciple of the sanctuary." Su Ron was furious, but extremely fearful. Su Yu stared at Su Ron coldly, feeling sorry for her. The seal of time had a time limit. Each activation required a period of rest. Otherwise, his eyes would not be able to withstand it and would explode. He had already missed the best opportunity to kill the master of Wang Valley. "Holy King, why did you stop me?" Su Yu asked, confused. It was obvious that Li Guang was not biased towards the master of Wang Valley. Otherwise, he would not be protecting her. Li Guang looked at Zhang Xian with gratitude in his old eyes. "Come with me. I will let you see another world." Li Guang did not reply, instead grabbing Su Yu's shoulder and bringing him thousands of meters into the air. Su Yu did not understand. "Another world? Look down and see the entire ruins," Li Guang said. Hearing this, Su Yu looked down, and his pupils shrank to the size of a needle. "This is a palm print." It was rumored that the ruins were once extremely prosperous, but were reduced to rubble in a single night. It was difficult to see the entire situation from within the ruins. However, looking down from the sky, Su Yu saw a shocking scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. A horrifying palm print with a radius of 10 miles shrouded the ruins. That's right, it's a palm print, destroying everything in a 10-mile radius with one palm. Li Guang was also shocked. A single palm strike destroyed everything within a 10-kilometer radius, turning everything into ruins. Su Yu was absent-minded, and he fell into unprecedented shock. Suddenly, he recalled the 2 paintings on the wall in the underground relic in the Twilight Mountains. In the first painting, an old man pointed a finger at the heavens. Su Yu had benefited from it and comprehended the holy decree. In the second painting, a giant hand descended from the 9 heavens, shattering mountains and rivers for thousands of miles. Su Yu would never forget that scene. The 10-kilometer palm print that could destroy everything before him clearly overlapped with that image. Is this the power of a holy king? Su Yu was lost in thought. Li Guang laughed at himself. Holy king? What is a saint king? Under the might of this palm, saint kings are nothing but ants. They could be reduced to ashes with a flick of a finger. "Have you seen the other world?" Li Guang asked sternly. Su Yu took a long time to restrain the shock in his heart, his eyes revealing a pensive expression. "Holy King, do you mean that the Holy King realm is a legend of martial prowess, but not the pinnacle of the martial paths? Legend of martial strength?" Li Guang's self-mockery deepened. Perhaps only mortals would call it that. In the other world, holy kings are the lowest existences. Where is that world? Su Yu was shocked. The legends of martial arts were the lowest existences in that world. Li Guang did not answer, but instead asked, "How big do you think the Xinhua continent is?" Su Yu pondered. The Xinyu prefecture was the size of China, the Fenglin Empire was the size of Earth, and the alliance of the 9 empires was the size of 9 planets. In addition to the Fengwang Empire, whose territory surpassed the alliance of the 9 empires, the entire Xinhua continent was equivalent to 20 Earths. The vastness of the continent was shocking. Very big, so big that it would be hard for me to travel the entire continent in my lifetime. Suyu revealed the respect in his heart. Li Guang said meaningfully, "What if I told you that the Shunyue continent is actually just a small island?" "What? An island?" Suyu gasped. Li Guang slowly nodded. "That's right. The Shunyue continent is just an island in the middle of the ocean. The real continent is in the middle of the ocean, called the Jinlong continent. The Jinlong continent is the center of the world, the true world of martial artists. The Shunyue continent is just one of the countless islands in the middle of the ocean." Suyu was shocked beyond words. The vast Shunyue continent was just a drop in the ocean. Su Rong and I are disciples of the Lucian faction of the continent. 100 years ago, we were sent to Shunyue Island to help the faction search for young talents among the islanders. Su Rong established the Fengwang Valley and the Fengwang Empire, while I created the sanctuary and controlled the alliance of the 9 empires. I split Shunyue Island into 2, each selecting the talents of the islanders. The Battle of the Century is the final selection, and the 5 of you are qualified disciples. Li Guang sighed. Suyu was shocked. The Sanctuary and Fengwang Valley were both Lucian factions of the Jinlong continent, sent here to search for young talents. After saying this, Li Guang glanced at Su Rong, calmly saying, "So, do you understand why I stopped you? Firstly, you could not kill her. Your strongest attack could only lightly injure her. You were able to injure her because of your soul technique. Secondly, even if you could kill her, would you be able to face the pursuit of the strongest fighters of the Jinlong continent? Among them, there are some strong fighters who could kill me with just a thought." Killing a holy king with just a thought? Suyu was shocked. Su Rong and Li Guang not only had extraordinary abilities, but more importantly, their identities were not ordinary. "All right, now tell me, how did your abilities improve so quickly after the battle in the Evil Forest?" Li Guang could no longer hide his curiosity. Suyu nodded. Now that things had come to this, he had to give an explanation. Creak, the icy heart core in his chest throbbed, absorbing the cold energy of heaven and earth. His cultivation level began to stir. That day when I was trapped under the rubble, icy heart core was at the top class. According to the technique, after the top class, the ice heart would absorb the cold energy of heaven and earth, increasing one's cultivation level. Li Guang understood. When Suyu was in trouble, he was at level 7 upper tier, but now he was at level 8 peak. At that time, the Fenglan Empire was in the middle of winter. The Evil Forest was even colder and colder. Suyu had been absorbing the cold energy for a full 10 days. Coupled with the large amount of Saint-grade spirit elixirs he had consumed previously, the effects of the elixirs were stimulated, allowing his cultivation level to soar. This was the reason for the rapid growth of his cultivation level, as well as his comprehension of the technique. So, how did you comprehend Icy Hardcore to top class? Before you were in trouble, you only managed to comprehend it to the upper class. You would need many years to reach top class. Deity-level techniques get harder to comprehend as you progress. It should be due to my level of comprehension, Suyu said, hiding the biggest change in his body. His biggest change was not his cultivation level, nor his technique, but the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. In a desperate situation, the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron underwent an unprecedented change. Countless drops of spiritual liquid flowed down, cleansing his body. It also made his soul more transparent, and his level of comprehension improved. At the same time, his control of time had made a breakthrough. In the past, when he was still, the time around him had been accelerated by 50 times. But after the change, time had been accelerated by 200 times. During the half a month he was trapped, using the 200 times acceleration was equivalent to 10 years. 10 years was enough time to thoroughly comprehend the icy heart core. Moreover, the purple dragon on the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron had been completely crystallized after the baptism of a large amount of red spiritual liquid. Suyu's pupils underwent a strange change, turning purple. In the past, he could only control the flow of time around him. But now, his purple pupils could control the flow of time in the outside world. The seal of time came about because it could freeze the time of a specific target for a single breath. One breath was enough to kill an enemy in a head-on battle. But Suyu could not completely control this pair of purple pupils. To prevent it from leaking or harming the innocent, he could only close his eyes. Level of comprehension? Li Guang gasped. Your level of comprehension is unimaginable. Suyu let out a bitter laugh. The one who was truly unimaginable was Xia Jingyu. Then, where did your spirit-level technique come from? Li Guang's gaze turned serious, asking the question he was most concerned about. As for the purple pupil's divine eyes, he thought it was some sort of secret soul technique that caused Su Rong to lose focus for a moment. What is a spirit-level technique? Suyu was confused. It is Purple Star Thunderbolt. Li Guang said leisurely, low, medium, high, saint, and deity-level techniques are collectively known as mortal-level techniques in the Jinlong continent and can only be practiced by mortals. Spirit-level techniques are only practiced by holy kings and above. The palm that Su Rong used to destroy you is a spirit-level technique. Purple Star Thunderbolt was a spirit-level technique? Suyu was shocked, but thinking about it carefully, some of his doubts were answered. Deity-level techniques, such as Icy Heart Core and Reverie of Dewdrops, only had 3 levels: lower class, upper class, and peak. But Purple Star Thunderbolt was only a remnant of a book. It did not only have 1 level. At the same time, Purple Star Thunderbolt had caused Suyu to feel lost more than once. Icy Heart Core and Infernal Demon Pupils were 2 deity-level cultivation techniques that had reached great perfection, but Purple Star Thunderbolt was still stuck at Stage 1 Greater Mastery. It had taken him half a year to comprehend, and with the effective time control, it had taken him at least 10 years to comprehend, but he was still stuck at Stage 1 Greater Mastery. His doubts were finally answered today. It was a spirit-level technique unique to the Jinlong continent, something only holy kings could cultivate. It was no wonder Suyu found it so difficult to cultivate. He had once thought it was a saint-level technique, but after realizing its power, he thought it was a deity-level technique. He did not expect it to be a spirit-level technique. If that was the case, then there should be a few remnant volumes. It's a remnant volume from the Martial Arts Training Institute of the Xinyu Prefecture, Suyu said. Xinyu Prefecture? Li Guang pondered. In the Twilight Mountains of Xinyu Prefecture, it was said that there was once a flourishing area. However, it was also destroyed in a single night, and it was difficult for future generations to find it. If I am not mistaken, this remnant of a spiritual level cultivation technique should have been found by someone in the ruins. So the Purple Star Thunderbolt came from the underground ruins? All right, within a day, there will be an envoy from the Jinlong continent who will bring us back to the Jinlong continent. Su Rong and I have completed our mission. Li Guang descended with Suyu. The black puppet announced, Suyu wins. Opening its mouth, the black puppet spat out a token at Li Guang. The battle of the century has decreed that the victor will receive the Lucien token. Li Guang grabbed the token, his body trembling, his eyes filled with tears. Su Rong stared at the Lucien token, her face filled with jealousy and indignation. Suppressing the greed in her heart, Su Rong's expression was stiff as she cupped her fists. Congratulations, brotherly. After waiting for 100 years, you have finally gained something. You can use the Lucien token to request a wish from the faction. Li Guang closed his eyes, tightly gripping the Lucien token. Tears rolled down his cheeks, his voice trembling. Rulin, wait for me. I will definitely get the faction to investigate what happened back then and give you an explanation. I, Li Guang, was wrongly accused. Zhao Guang was emotional, kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to Suyu. His eyes were filled with tears. Junior Su, I, Zhao Guang, will never forget your kindness. Only Zhao Guang knew that his master had been wronged. In order to clear his name, he had sacrificed 100 years to obtain the Lucien token. It was Suyu who had helped Li Guang fulfill his wish. Li Guang's eyes were filled with gratitude. He looked at the holy disciples that had followed him and smiled, gathering everyone to his side. Only Zhao Guang knows what happened to me. Today, I will tell all of you the entire story. It turned out that Li Guang was once a new disciple of the Lucien faction. Ruolin was his junior. She was beautiful and pure, with a heart of gold. She had fallen in love with Li Guang at first sight. The two of them were in love, cultivating together and advancing in the faction. But one day, something unfortunate happened. Little junior sister Ruolin was actually raped in one night. The location was Li Guang's house. The witness was Li Guang's rival in love, Senior Han Ji, who was extremely talented. In addition, he and his junior had been drinking under the moonlight that night. They were both drunk and unconscious. Li Guang was immediately suspected. Junior Ruolin's chastity had been destroyed. She was so ashamed that she wanted to commit suicide. Li Guang had committed a crime and should have been executed. Only Li Guang knew that he had not touched Ruolin that night. The person who had raped her was not Li Guang, but his rival in love, Han Ji. Chapter 97. Han Ji had long coveted Ruolin. Furthermore, Han Ji was highly regarded by one of the faction elders and was his last disciple. But Ruolin was deeply in love with Li Guang and had never agreed. But Han Ji had tarnished Ruolin's innocence and slandered him. Before he died, Li Guang was furious. Since Li Guang had contributed to the faction gave him chance. He would head to Shunyue Island to find a suitable disciple. Su Rong also went with him. Between the two of them, the one who could find the more outstanding disciple would get a Lucien token and ask the faction master for a favor within their capabilities. Li Guang held the Lucien token in his hand. He wanted to investigate what had happened and clear his name. He did not want Ruolin to misunderstand him for the rest of her life. For this, he had guarded Shunyue Island for 100 years. Now he was old and frail. Hearing this, the holy disciples were moved. The Holy King had suffered such injustice? What kind of willpower had supported him for 100 years? He had spent his entire life growing old just to clear his grievances, just to give an explanation to the person he loved in his heart. Su Yu, I will never forget your kindness. Li Guang bowed gratefully. Su Yu dodged, shaking his head. I have to repay you for grooming me. Furthermore, you gave me a chance to go to the Jinlong continent. I should be the one thanking you. Li Guang was apologetic. Even though you are a holy disciple, I have never given you any pointers. Unfortunately, my destiny is here. I will die in less than a month. I will not be able to give you any more pointers. Master, the holy disciples knelt down in disbelief. Even though the Holy King was over 100 years old, he was still hale and hearty. How could he only have a month left to live? At the side, Su Rong's eyes were filled with sorrow as she sighed. When your Saint King came to Mystic Moon Island, he was bullied by Han Ji many times. There was one time when he was seriously injured and fell ill. Enduring until the battle of the century is already the limit of his body. 1 month. He only had 1 month left to live. Even though the Holy King had proven his innocence, he would never be able to spend the rest of his life with the woman he loved. Was his life worth it? Get up. I have lived my life to prove my innocence to Ruolin. Even if I die, I will have no regrets. There is no need for you to be sad. Li Guang smiled. At that moment, a strong wind suddenly blew, and the sky suddenly turned dark. Everyone looked up and saw a giant strange bird that was 100 meters long descending from the sky. The wind was howling and the energy was flying. A majestic aura pressed down in all directions. Su Yu revolved his vital energy and barely managed to keep his feet on the ground. Narrowing his eyes, he raised his head. Its aura was as strong as Li Guang and Su Rong's. The strange bird's eyes flashed with human-like arrogance as it scanned the crowd below. Rumble! The strange bird spiraled and landed on the ground like a storm. Sand and pebbles flew and dust filled the sky. It's already over? You're faster than I expected. A teasing and careless voice came from the dust. Looking over, there was a 20-year-old, green-robed young master standing calmly on the back of the giant bird. His appearance was ordinary, and his aura was completely restrained, making him seem like an ordinary young man. Only a pair of smiling eyes swept over. They were as dazzling as the blazing sun. Whoosh! The green-robed youth floated down, his gaze landing on Li Guang. Old man Li Guang, your body is not bad. Back then, you were beaten half to death by Master, but you were still alive. How dare you? How dare you insult the Holy King? Zhao Guang roared. The green-robed youth squinted, glaring at Zhao Guang. Thud, thud, thud. With just a glance, Zhao Guang seemed to have been severely injured. He took a few steps back, a metallic taste in his throat. Zhao Guang was shocked. Even his master could not injure him with just a glance. Even an ant dares to be so arrogant? The green-robed youth laughed coldly. What's so great about the Holy King realm? It's the lowest existence in the faction, not even an outer sanctum disciple. Li Guang took a step forward, shielding the group of holy disciples behind him. His gaze was calm. You are Hanji's disciple? You have already surpassed the Holy King realm and reached the Dragon realm. He has committed many evil deeds, but his luck is not bad to have a disciple like you. Haha. Of course, Master's luck is not something you can compare to. Otherwise, why would your woman become Master's concubine? The green-robed youth sneered. Li Guang's pupil shrank. He stumbled back, his voice trembling. You said, Ruo Lan became Han Ji's concubine? How could it be? Han Ji coerced her, right? One could imagine that Ruo Lan, who had lost her reputation and integrity, was at the lowest point of her life. Han Ji, who coveted her, would definitely be able to capture her heart easily when she was at her weakest. Grief and anger welled up in his heart. The one who had harmed and defiled Ruo Lan was obviously Han Ji. However, Ruo Lan did not know and ended up in Han Ji's embrace. As for the wronged Li Guang, he had guarded the island for 100 years. Could life be more dramatic and cruel than what he was seeing now? What right do you, an abandoned disciple of the faction, have to mention Master's wife's name? The green-robed youth's expression turned cold. After speaking, the green-robed youth looked around and said calmly, I am a core disciple of the Lucian faction, Chao Xian. I have been ordered to test your talents and bring you to the Jinlong continent. The top 5 of the battle of the century stepped forward. Chao Xian ordered. The crowd looked at each other. Lu Guang, Meng Lang, and Jiang Xian from Fengwang Valley stepped forward. Su Yu and Zhao Guang from Sanctuary stepped forward. Chao Xian swept his gaze across the crowd, especially Li Guang's 2 disciples. His gaze lingered on Su Yu and Zhao Guang, his gaze cold. Whoosh! Chao Xian flew to the puppet's side, his finger pointing at the puppet's forehead. The puppet opened its mouth and spat out a piece of paper with the top 5 rankings. First place, Su Yu of Sanctuary. Chao Xian's gaze turned cold, his eyeballs turning. If that was the case, the Lucian token had been obtained by Li Guang. Chao Xian's expression changed as he returned. He took out a transparent crystal ball and walked in front of the trio from Fengwang Valley. You, place your hand on it, Chao Xian ordered Jiang Xian. Jiang Xian was in awe. She stuck out her tongue and placed her hand on the crystal ball. Buzz! The crystal ball glowed a dark red, forming a line of words. Worthless spirit body. Such a worthless body wants to enter the Jinlong continent. Scram! Chao Xian let out a cold grunt. Jiang Xian's body trembled, her face pale. She had lost the right to enter the Jinlong continent. Tears rolled down her cheeks, her shoulders trembling. Jiang Xian squatted on the ground, crying loudly. The mysterious continent's qualification selection was so cruel. Chao Xian could not be bothered with her, pointing at Meng Lang. Meng Lang's face trembled. He swallowed his saliva and placed his hand on the crystal ball. The crystal ball glowed red, a line of words appearing. Low-grade yellow class, spirit body. Chao Xian's nostrils flared as he said with disdain, a desolate island with such qualities. Even if you go to the Jinlong continent, you will still be at the bottom. Meng Lang did not feel humiliated. Instead, he was overjoyed. He had obtained the right to enter the Jinlong continent. Li Guang whispered to Su Yu and Zhao Guang. This is a physical test. What is a physical test? Su Yu asked. Li Guang said seriously. The difference between a holy king and a martial artist is that a holy king possesses the power of a holy king. But the power of a holy king is just a name in the Xinhua continent. Its true name is spirit energy. It is a type of energy that far surpasses vital energy. Only by absorbing spirit energy can one break through to the realm of a holy king and beyond. Whether one can absorb vital energy or the speed at which one absorbs vital energy depends on the human body. Most people are unable to absorb vital energy. They are a useless spirit body, such as Jiang Xin. But most people absorb vital energy extremely slowly. Meng Lang, for example, only has a low-grade yellow class spirit body. Physical constitutions are split into 4 grades: heaven, earth, dark, and yellow. Low-grade yellow class is the lowest grade. Their absorption speed is extremely slow, and their future achievements are limited. Dark class is even higher, but dark class is extremely rare. As for earth and heaven class, they only exist in legends. The Lucian faction has never had them before. Hearing this, Su Yu and Zhao Guang roughly understood. Only those with the ability to absorb the power of a holy king, which was spirit energy, could enter the realm of holy king and beyond. Otherwise, they would be stuck at level 9 peak of the martial path for the rest of their lives. But did the two of them have a physical constitution? So you could not help but worry. Li Guang comforted them. You do not have to worry too much. Whether a person has a physical constitution can be seen at the level of a martial artist. Those with a physical constitution have superior perceptivity and cultivation speed. Even though Jiang Xin is in the top 5, her abilities are supported by hidden weapons. Her perceptivity and cultivation speed are not outstanding. Hence, it is normal for her to have a useless spirit body. Su Yu, your perceptivity is exceptional, your cultivation speed is shocking, and your physical constitution is high. I look forward to it. Li Guang smiled. Zhao Guang was envious. Su Yu is such a talented person. Even in the Jinlong continent, he would be considered a genius. You, Chao Xian pointed at Lu Guang. Lu Guang was a little nervous, placing his hand on it. With a flash of red light, high-grade yellow class, physical constitution. Chao Xian raised his eyebrows, and a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. After a while, his expression softened and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He was actually a little polite. Junior Lu Guang, within the Lucian faction, the factions are intertwined and complicated. As a newcomer, you will inevitably be bullied. If you have any difficulties in the future, you can look for me. Lu Guang was overwhelmed by the favor, his face flushed with excitement. He bowed respectfully. Yes, thank you, Senior Chao Xian. Li Guang was shocked, his expression grave. I did not expect Lu Guang's potential to be so high. Chao Xian wants to recruit him to help Han Ji recruit a few unofficial disciples with great potential. After the Feng Wang Valley disciples have been tested, Chao Xian's expression turned cold, pointing at Zhao Guang. You, come here. Zhao Guang was nervous, placing his hand on the crystal ball. With a flash of red light, medium-grade yellow class physical constitution appeared. Zhao Guang was overjoyed, pleasantly surprised. Chao Xian glared at Li Guang, his nostrils flaring. You really found a suitable candidate. With a displeased expression, Chao Xian's gaze finally landed on Su Yu. As the king of 100 generations, Su Yu's physical constitution would be shocking. Chao Xian clenched his fists, feeling a little uneasy. With a serious expression, he took a step forward and placed the crystal ball in front of Su Yu. Li Guang, Su Ron, Lu Guang, Zhao Guang, and the rest all looked over. Lu Guang already had a high-grade yellow class physical constitution. Could Su Yu have the rare dark class physical constitution? Su Yu was nervous, placing his hand on the crystal ball. With a flash of red light, a shocking line of words appeared on the crystal ball. It's almost midnight. I'm looking for recommendation tickets, monthly tickets, and tips. Chapter 98. Everyone was dumbfounded. Confusion, doubt, and other complicated expressions appeared on their faces. After a moment, Chao Xian heaved a sigh of relief, his lips twitching. Worthless spirit. Hee, you've really shocked me. With a flash of red light, the words worthless spirit could be seen clearly. Li Guang was stunned, unable to comprehend. How could this be? His level of perception and cultivation speed are extraordinary. How could he be a worthless spirit? Even though Su Rong did not like Su Yu, she found it hard to believe. Zhao Guang was at a loss. Su Yu's rapid rise was like a comet streaking across the continent, stunning everyone. But how could he be a worthless spirit? While the crowd was confused, Su Yu remained calm. Only he knew where his level of perception came from. His comprehension ability was not outstanding. The reason why he was so outstanding was because of the illusion that he obtained from the time acceleration of 200 times. As for his cultivation speed, he consumed large amounts of elixirs and natural treasures, and rarely breathed in vital energy. Worthless Spirit was reasonable. Slowly retracting his palm, Su Yu's heart was filled with disappointment and bitterness. Even with the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, would he be stuck at level 9 of the martial path? What kind of exciting world was the Zhenlong continent? How vast was it? How many geniuses were there? How many peerless experts were there? Was he going to be stuck on a tiny island in the vast ocean, an ant for the rest of his life? He had once promised the Duke of Xianyu that he would help him find elixirs to heal his arm. He had once sworn to the heavens that he would become the best and control his own fate. Everything in the past. Was he going to be stuck here? His martial heart had yet to be extinguished. Why was he given such a talent? At this moment, Su Yu felt as though he had returned to the Martial Arts Training Institute, back to the days of the lowly silver students. After half a year, he had broken through the continent's time and space like the sun. But today, he had returned to his original state. He was still the same lowly student from half a year ago. Lu Guang, who had feared Su Yu, could not help but laugh. Dragon and worm. Ha ha ha. I was right. I am a dragon of the 9 heavens. You are still an ant? Lu Guang laughed heartily. Su Rong's old eyes turned cold. Separating you and Sienner was a wise decision. Feeling the strange gazes and hearing the mockery, Su Yu remained silent. He did not refute, nor did he have the strength to refute. The 3 words worthless spirit body determined Su Yu's fate. When numerous geniuses stepped into the Zhenlong continent and soared in the 9 heavens, the king, who had once stood proudly above them, was now alone and in dire straits. He had been reduced to an ant. The evening sun was setting, and the afterglow of the afterglow poured down, causing Su Yu's figure to look long and lonely. He was lonely, as if he stood aloof from the world. Who would have thought that he was once a king? Brother, you... A gentle voice called out. A warm and delicate hand grasped his palm. Although it was soft, it was firm and powerful, transmitting a warm power to the soul. Xia Jingyu's pretty face was bright, and she bravely held Su Yu's hand. She then pursed her lips and said, I'm still here in this world. Regardless of whether it's the island or the continent, I will follow you wherever you go. Su Yu was moved. Even when he was at the lowest point of his life, a pretty face was always there to accompany him. In this life, I have never been lonely. Holding her soft hand, Su Yu was silent for a moment, then lifted his eyes to look at Chao Xian. Test her constitution, you won't be disappointed. The corners of Chao Xian's mouth twitched. The spirit testing ball can only be used 8 times. Is there a need for me to waste it? Xia Jingyu held Su Yu's hand tightly, calmly and concisely replying, I don't need it. Not only did Xia Jingyu reject him, but she had also rejected him. Chao Xian's gaze shifted, and he passed the crystal ball over, mocking, Hee, seeing as you are in such dire straits, I'll give you a chance. Let her try. Brother Yu, I don't want it. Xia Jingyu rejected him, so you did not allow her to speak. He pressed her small hand onto the crystal ball. His gaze was calm, and he wore a lonely smile. If one day you return from the Zhenlong continent, please tell me what kind of world it is outside. A red light flashed, and a row of dazzling words appeared on the crystal ball. Upper grade dark class constitution. The indifferent Chao Xian was stunned for a moment. Then his pupils dilated. Dark class constitution was an extremely rare constitution in the Lucian faction. Only the core disciples, including Chao Xian, had it. Upper grade dark class constitution was the best constitution in the faction. In the current generation, only one person had it. That person was the chief disciple of the Lucian faction. The most dazzling and powerful genius disciple in the faction. Xia Jingyu actually had such a strong constitution. Her appearance would definitely cause a stir in the faction. Chao Xian's gaze shifted. If he brought her under his master's wing, what kind of generous reward would he receive? He did not notice that Xia Jingyu's beautiful eyes were slightly red. She looked at Su Yu, tears rolling down her cheeks. Brother Yu, you are alone. What would you do if you were lonely? Su Yu gently let go of Xia Jingyu's hand, staring at her. He shook his head with a smile. With a pair of eyes looking at the outside world for me, I will not be lonely. Chao Xian was eager to prove himself. Now that the examination was over, it was time for him to return. With a warm smile, Chao Xian was gentle and refined. Junior, let's not waste any more time. We should leave. He coldly swept his gaze across Zhao Guang, Meng Lang, and Lu Guang. What are you waiting for? Get on the Garuda immediately. We will depart immediately. Lu Guang's expression turned sluggish. After discovering the upper grade dark class constitution, Lu Guang was nothing in Chao Xian's eyes. His promise to take care of Lu Guang had fallen through, causing him to feel embarrassed. The group walked up the Garuda. Chao Xian smiled politely. Junior, please come up. The best seat is reserved for you. Xia Jingyu's beautiful eyes stared at Su Yu. After a moment, she closed her eyes and opened them again, smiling tearfully. Brother Yu, one day I will definitely return and tell you the outside world. Because of her sobs, Xia Jingyu's last words were intermittent, drifting in the wind. From now on, she would head to a wider world. As for Su Yu, he would be alone. Wait, Junior Chao, I have a granddaughter. Her potential might not be too bad, Su Rong hurriedly said. Chao Xian's nostrils flared. Who cares about your granddaughter? I will report back to the faction immediately. There is no time to waste. Get out of the way. Let's wait for her granddaughter for a while, Xia Jingyu muttered in a daze. Chao Xian's expression softened. He naturally had to give Xia Jingyu face. All right, go, and come back quickly. Chao Xian waved his hands impatiently. Su Rong gratefully bowed, quickly rushing to the Fengwang pavilion to bring Xiener, who was cultivating. Xiener had no idea that Su Yu had already arrived, nor did she know where she was being brought by her grandmother. She had arrived before the Garuda in a daze. Put your hand on it, Chao Xian said quickly, impatiently. Xiener did not even have time to look around before Su Rong pressed her small hand on top. With a flash of red light, a line of words appeared clearly. Medium gray dark class constitution. The 6 clear words caused the impatient Chao Xian to clap and laugh. Ha, another dark class constitution. Moreover, it's a medium gray dark class constitution. Having obtained 2 dark class constitutions, Chao Xian's mood was unprecedentedly good. Su Rong's body trembled, tears streaming down her face. Good, good, good. The Su family. There is hope for the Su family. Junior, please come up. Chao Xian was in a good mood, smiling as he invited Qin Xiener up. Qin Xiener scratched her head stupidly, looking around blankly. She still did not understand the situation. Suddenly, her large eyes swept across a familiar figure. The familiar face, the familiar face, the familiar figure, the familiar clothes, even though his hair had turned a mysterious silver and his eyes had turned a noble purple. But wasn't that smiling gaze the same resolute gaze that shielded her from the bloodshed at the Duke of Xinyu's palace? She might have mistaken a person's appearance, but she would never mistake a person's soul. Brother Su Yu, countless dreams of the cold nights. The person she missed was right in front of her. Qin Xiener sobbed, throwing herself into Su Yu's embrace. Enjoying the familiar embrace, the months of nostalgia, parting, and longing had turned into a heart full of bitterness as she wailed. Su Yu tenderly hugged Xiener, his heart filled with mixed feelings. Lu Guang's eyes turned cold, leaping down from the Garuda. He took a step forward, grabbing Qin Xiener's shoulder. Junior Xiener, come with me to a bigger faction. We could train together. How about that? Xiener's shoulder trembled, her eyes swollen from crying. She fiercely turned her head. I only want Brother Su Yu. I will not go with you. Let go. Lu Guang's expression froze. Had Suyu left such a deep impression in her heart? So much so that she had lost her temper at him. Lu Guang's eyes gradually turned cold. Xiener, you and I are both dragons of the 9 heavens. Suyu does not have the potential. He is destined to be in a different world from us. No matter how much you like him, it will not end well. Sienna hooked Suyu's neck with her small hands, baring her teeth. I don't believe you. Brother Suyu is the best. Chao Xian's eyes narrowed. Junior Sienna, come with me. Suyu's fate is indeed that of an ant. I don't believe you. Give me the crystal ball. Brother Suyu is better than all of you. Sienna extended her hand, demanding the crystal ball. I can give him one last test, but you must come with me. Chao Xian was a little impatient. Why did these two talented women have such a close relationship with Suyu? Sienna rubbed her sharp chin, giggling as she hugged the crystal ball and stuffed it into Suyu's arms. Her eyes were filled with anticipation. Brother Suyu, hurry up and try it. Tell them that you are the best. In her heart, Suyu is irreplaceable. Suyu lovingly stroked her head. Sienna, you and Jingyu go first. I will quickly catch up after I finish what I have to do. Okay? He did not want Sienna to see him at his lowest point in his life. Brother Suyu, aren't you going to try it now? Show those who look down on you that Brother Suyu is the best. Sienna did not understand. Sienna, Brother Suyu is more outstanding than all of us. There will be stronger people coming to fetch him. Let's go first. We will meet again soon. Is that so? Sienna smiled, jumping onto the Garuda proudly. She waved her fist. Humph! I told you Brother Suyu is the best. Waving her hand, Sienna giggled. Brother Suyu, hurry up and catch up. Just as she was about to leave, Sienna recalled something. She took out a jade bottle and threw it to Suyu. Sienna blushed, a little embarrassed. This, Grandma gave it to you. Yes, Grandma, not me. He grabbed a saint-grade spirit elixir and a divine-grade spirit elixir. They were cracked and dented, as if they had been fought over. Suyu's eyes turned red. Why would Su Rong leave him elixirs? These were the fruits that Xian had left for him, one by one. Every elixir was Xian's purest love. Xian, a heart-wrenching pain assaulted him. Chao Xian was impatient. He activated the Garuda and flew up into the sky. Looking at the gradually fading Garuda, it finally turned into a black dot and disappeared into the horizon. Suyu's eyes were moist, his heart filled with silent sorrow. He had been strong until now, his expression calm. Now that he was separated from Xian'er and Jingyu, he could no longer suppress the sorrow in his heart. Heaven and earth revolved, time and space were peaceful. Suyu felt as if he had been abandoned and abandoned by the world. He stood alone on the earth, looking at the people he could not ask to stay. Xian'er, Suyu clenched his fists, suppressing the sorrow in his heart and the indignation in his heart. Li Guang was stunned for a long time. His eyes were filled with pity and sympathy as he sighed. Suyu, you better take care of yourself. An ordinary life might not be a bad thing. Li Guang could not find any words of consolation. Suyu's fate was truly unfair. Suddenly, Li Guang saw the red glow on the crystal ball in Suyu's fist. The words worthless spirit body reappeared. He sighed. Suyu, if you have nowhere else to go, you can return to the sanctuary. Li Guang suddenly exclaimed. He saw that after the words worthless spirit body faded, a new line of words appeared on the crystal ball. Suyu also noticed the change in the crystal ball and stared at it. The small words gradually condensed. Looking at the length, it was not just the 3 words worthless spirit body, but 6 words. 6 words, 6 words. Could this be Suyu's potential? As the words became clearer, Suyu's heart jumped to his throat. Chapter 99. What kind of constitution would it be? Suyu's heart was pounding, his mind a mess. Was it a yellow class constitution? Or was it a black class constitution? Or even the legendary heaven or earth class constitutions? After all, Suyu's test was different from normal people, showing 2 results at the same time. Buzz buzz. The red light flickered, revealing a 6-syllable incantation. Low-grade spiritual constitution. Li Guang's pupils shrank as he exclaimed, Spirit body? Suyu was at a loss. It was not one of the 4 grades. He could not help but ask anxiously, "Holy King, can I cultivate the spiritual constitution?" Regaining his senses, Li Guang looked Su Yu up and down as if he was looking at a monster. Hearing this, his lips twitched. "Since there is a spiritual constitution, of course you can cultivate it." Su Yu's heart, which was hanging in the air, was finally at ease. The sorrow in his heart was swept away, replaced by a sense of pride. This accident was a turning point in his life, a chance at a new life. "Sinner, Jingyu, wait for me. Su Yu, will step onto the Jinlong continent." Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Su Yu asked curiously, "Holy King, what is an abnormal spiritual constitution?" Li Guang explained in shock. "The heaven, earth, black, and yellow system covers the most common constitutions. Rare constitutions are excluded and are collectively known as abnormal spiritual bodies. There are some special people who are unable to absorb spiritual energy and are known as trash spirits. However, there are some special things in their bodies, such as eating heavenly materials and earthly treasures, or having divine weapons in their bodies. Heavenly materials and divine weapons can absorb spiritual energy on their own to aid their masters in their cultivation. These are the otherworldly spirits. You are tested as a useless spiritual body, meaning that you cannot absorb spirit energy. However, there is a special item in your body that can absorb spirit energy. Hence, the second result is abnormal spiritual body." So he was not wrong. The red liquid from the divine nine-dragon cauldron had fused with his blood. He could not absorb spirit energy, but the mysterious red liquid could. Chao Xian's test showed Su Yu as a useless spiritual body. That was because Su Yu had quickly retracted his hand after the test. The crystal ball did not have time to reveal the abnormal spiritual body. Li Guang continued, "Abnormal spirit bodies are divided into upper, middle, and lower grades based on the speed at which they absorb spiritual energy. However, the lowest grade abnormal spirit body is equivalent to a middle grade yellow class physique, which is Zhao Guang's level." There's one more thing that Li Guang did not mention. The rarity of abnormal spirits was comparable to the heaven and earth grades. They were the legendary abnormal spirits, and they were often highly valued. This was because a foreign body that could automatically absorb spiritual energy was most likely a miraculous object. Thus, its owner might possess an inconceivable ability that was even more peculiar than ordinary people. Su Yu's exceptional level of comprehension was probably related to the foreign object in his body. Su Yu let out a gratified smile. Even with a low-grade yellow class constitution, Su Yu was confident that he could compete with the geniuses of the continent, let alone a medium-grade yellow class constitution. "Garuda has left. Follow me and Su Rong to the Jinlong continent," Li Guang said, then looked at Su Rong. Su Rong nodded her head coldly, thinking that Su Yu was not fated to die. He would eventually step onto the Jinlong continent. 2 days later, the group rushed to the border of the Fenghuang Empire, facing the boundless sea. The two holy kings had combined their holy king powers to awaken a giant turtle that had been slumbering at the bottom of the sea. It was the same turtle that they had ridden 100 years ago. "The journey is long and will take 20 days. I do not have much time left, so I will use all my strength to guide you in your cultivation." After boarding the giant turtle, Li Guang stared at Su Yu, letting out a desolate smile. Su Yu bowed in gratitude. The Holy King only had a month left to live. This might be the last time he would guide him. Su Yu sat on the ground, listening attentively to Li Guang's teachings. "Your level of comprehension is exceptional, and you cultivate both ice and thunder attributes. Your techniques are amazing, but I do not have the right to guide you. The only thing I can guide you in is the path of cultivation." The Holy King realm is split into 7 levels. It is the process of a mortal transforming into a higher level. It focuses on improving one's physique and raising one's physical limits. For example, your Purple Star Thunderbolt is extremely powerful, but why did it only lightly injure Su Rong? That is because her physical body is stronger than a mortal's. Thus, after you become a Holy King, breaking through to the next level is secondary. Absorbing spirit energy and raising your physical limits is of utmost importance. Otherwise, you will never be able to reach the dragon realm. Su Yu engraved Li Guang's valuable experience in his heart. In the Lucian faction, there are 4 techniques to increase one's spirit energy. 3 of them are deity-level techniques, and the last one is an incomplete spirit-level technique called Thousand Thread Mantra. With your level of comprehension, choosing a spirit-level technique to cultivate will increase your spirit energy. This will make it easier for you to break through to the dragon realm in the future. Su Yu creased his brows. Are there no complete spirit-level techniques? Li Guang rolled his eyes. Do you think spirit-level techniques are cabbages? Mortal-level techniques are split into low, medium, high, saint, and deity level. Spirit-level techniques are also split into legacy level, immortal level, and myth level. In the Lucian faction, the Holy Kings can only come into contact with legacy-level incomplete manuals. For example, your Purple Star Thunderbolt is a legacy-level incomplete manual. Only strong martial artists who are above the dragon realm and have made great contributions to the faction are qualified to come into contact with the complete legacy-level technique. Su Yu was shocked. Was a complete legacy-level technique so hard to come by? What about immortal-level techniques and legendary-level techniques? Su Yu asked. Li Guang thought for a moment. It is said that the master of the faction has a fragment of an immortal-level technique. As for legendary-level techniques, they only exist in the legends of the world. Therefore, it is best if you can borrow the Thousand Thread Mantra. All the Dragon Realm fighters in the faction have studied the Thousand Thread Mantra. Su Yu memorized the Thousand Thread Mantra. Lastly, your holy decree is very special. Li Guang frowned and said, there is a unique rhythm to it. Even the Saint Decree of a 7th-level Saint King does not have it. I hope you can continue to comprehend it. Maybe one day, you'll have a breakthrough. Holy Decree? Su Yu's Holy Decree originated from the Elder in the painting. Could it be that the Elder's Holy Decree was special? In the next 20 days, with his help, Su Yu progressed at a tremendous pace. Half a month later, the shore of the Jinlong continent appeared. It was as if a giant beast had cut off the boundless sea. Su Yu awoke from his meditation, his eyes glowing brightly. The 13 Saint Grade and 1 Divine Grade Spirit Elixir given to him by Sienner were all digested by Li Guang's spirit energy. Su Yu's cultivation level had broken through from level 8 upper tier to level 9 upper tier. The effects of the Divine Grade Spirit Elixir were terrifying. With time sped up by 200 times, Su Yu's Purple Star Thunderbolt and Holy Decree had made great progress. After 11 years of study, he had finally touched the edge of Stage 1 top class of Purple Star Thunderbolt. Given more time, he would be able to break through to top class. As for the Holy Decree, it was only a few steps away from the Saint Grade Great Perfection stage to the Demigod Grade. Su Yu was filled with gratitude. He had disobeyed him in the beginning and was goaded into entering the evil forest to train. Even now, with the guidance of his last breath, Su Yu was grateful. In his life, these 2 benefactors had given him a turning point. The Duke of Xinyu had given him a chance to enter the sanctuary. Li Guang had given him a chance to enter the Jinlong continent. If not for them, Su Yu might still be a student at the Martial Arts Training Institute. Su Rong, could you help me send a message to Ruolin? Before I return to the faction, I would like to see her alone. Li Guang did not immediately return to the faction. He had less than 10 days left to live and could not wait until the faction investigated the injustice. Thus, he wanted to see Ruolin one last time and tell her the truth. Su Rong nodded. Sure. The meeting place was here. This was not far from Li Guang's family. His family was situated on top of a mountain range. It was near the Lucian faction, and it was a rather famous cultivation family. After returning from Shenyue Island, 100 years later, before he died, he naturally wanted to visit his family. Su Yu, before I die, I will definitely arrange a way out for you, Li Guang said lovingly. After spending half a month together, he deeply admired Su Yu's intelligence and sophistication. He sighed his heart, filled with regret. A holy disciple was an unofficial disciple of the Holy King, but Su Yu had never called a master. The reason was that they had only known each other for a short time. Li Guang knew that he had given Su Yu too little and could not bring himself to call himself Su Yu's master. However, before he died, he hoped that he could hear Su Yu call him master. 2 days later, Li Guang stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the vast ocean with a disappointed expression. According to the journey, Ruolin should have arrived in 2 days. But she did not come. Ruolin still hates me? Li Guang sighed. The woman he had missed for 100 years did not even give him a chance to explain before he died. This was his life's greatest regret, a regret that could never be made up for. Suddenly, Su Yu's purple eyes swept across the horizon, calmly saying, "The person that Master is waiting for might be here." The Holy King followed Su Yu's gaze and saw a figure after a long time. Su Yu's divine nine-dragon cauldron had greatly improved his vision. In the past, he could only see 5 miles away, but now he could see 20 miles away. At this moment, a 40-year-old woman flew over. She was dressed in a colorful robe, noble and elegant. Her appearance was gentle, virtuous, and dignified. As she floated down, a fragrant breeze blew over. Lan. Li Guang's voice was trembling, his body trembling. His old eyes could not shift his gaze away. The woman in front of him was his lover of 100 years, Ruolin. She was a 7th-level holy king, her physical limits far beyond that of a mortal. Even though she was over 100 years old, she still looked 40. As for Li Guang, he was a 2nd-level holy king. His physical limits were just slightly stronger than a mortal's, but he was already old. Compared to Li Guang's dazed expression, Ruolin's expression was calm and gentle. "Li Guang, you have grown old." Ruolin's voice was cold and emotionless. Her unfriendliness pulled Li Guang back from his daze. His aged face was filled with bitterness. It had been 100 years, and their friendship had long dissipated. "Ruolin, I invited you here to explain to you that I was not the one who did what happened back then. It was Hanji. You do not be deceived by him. Stay away from him." Li Guang regained his composure, his gaze sharp. "This time, I have obtained the Lucian token. I will ask the sect leader to investigate what happened back then and return Ruolin and my innocence." Ruolin looked at him calmly, her gentle eyes cold. "Yes, I know that the one who defiled me was not you, but Hanji." Li Guang felt as if he had been struck by lightning. You know that it was Hanji? Then why didn't you help me clear my name? Why did you marry Hanji? Who defiled you?" Ruolin was silent for a moment, then said calmly, "Because Hanji promised to take me as his concubine and give me sufficient resources to train. His condition was to defame you." Boom! Li Guang's mind went blank. He had thought that Ruolin had been deceived and thought that he was the defiler. But the truth was that Ruolin had cooperated with Hanji to frame him. Rumble. He had stood firm for 100 years to prove to Ruolin that he, Li Guang, was innocent. But after standing firm for 100 years, he had received such a cruel truth. "Ruolin, were you forced by Hanji to do this?" Li Guang could not accept the fact that his lover, the woman whom he could not forget for 100 years, was the culprit who had harmed him. Ruolin was indifferent, her expression cold. Su Yu supported the Holy King, his eyes cold. "She is just a selfish woman who betrayed her love for her own future. Holy King, there is no need for you to humiliate yourself. Or perhaps, Holy King, you should be more concerned about her motive for coming to see you." Su Yu's voice turned serious. Li Guang's heart turned cold. Ruolin had told him the truth. Why would she let him live? Then Ruolin had come today to kill him. She was a 7th-level Holy King, while Li Guang was a 2nd-level Holy King. The difference in their abilities was like the difference between heaven and earth. She could kill him in the blink of an eye. In front of her, Li Guang could not even retaliate. "Li Guang, wouldn't it be better if you died of old age on Xinyu Island? Why must you force me to attack?" Ruolin's eyes were cold as she calmly raised her finger. Killing intent gathered at the tip of her finger. At that moment, Su Yu felt a chill run down his spine, his body stiffening. Chapter 100. Against Su Rong, a 2nd-level Holy King, Su Yu could still fight. However, As a 7th level holy king, Su Yu could not even move a muscle when he lifted a finger. It was as if a level 1 of the martial paths was up against a level 9 of the martial paths. The feeling of being as lowly as an ant, as insignificant as a fly, shook his heart. Li Guang laughed bitterly. I, Li Guang, have spent 100 years waiting for such a fate. At this moment, Li Guang suddenly aged 100 years. Despair and death enveloped his heart. Ruolin, you can kill me, but he is innocent. Can you let him go? Li Guang knew that he would not be able to escape death today, but Su Yu would be implicated. Ruolin's cold gaze fell upon Su Yu, calmly nodding. But the next moment, she flicked her finger, shooting a bolt of terrifying vital energy at Su Yu. Su Yu felt as if he was facing a landslide or the suffocating disaster in the evil forest valley. No, Li Guang growled, pushing Su Yu away. Rumble. A deafening sound filled the air. Blood splattered everywhere, flesh flying everywhere. Li Guang's right arm had been blasted off, his flesh a bloody mess. Blood splattered all over Su Yu's face. The warmth and blood caused Su Yu to freeze. Li Guang had used his own body to block a killing blow for him. Looking at the tall and old figure in front of him, Su Yu was shaken. Run! Li Guang's remaining left hand grabbed Su Yu and flew into the air. Behind him, a soft sigh could be heard. It's useless. Whoosh! Her figure blurred, and in an instant Ruolan was standing in front of them calmly. Li Guang's aged face was filled with bitterness and pain, but his gaze was determined. I will die. I will not let him die. Whoosh! Li Guang chose another direction. But, whoosh! Ruolin calmly stood in front of them, calmly shaking her head. It's useless, die. Whoosh! Her figure disappeared. Suddenly, Su Yu saw a jade-like hand resting on top of his head without a sound. She was a meter away from Li Guang, but he did not notice. By the time Li Guang realized it, it was too late. The hand pressed down lightly. Pooh! A dull thud could be heard as a bloody hole appeared on Li Guang's back. The squirming of his internal organs was clearly visible. In the nick of time, Li Guang used his back to block the fatal blow for Su Yu. Holy King! Su Yu was shocked and sorrowful. He had spent his entire life and was on the verge of death just to prove his innocence. But why did he receive such a fate? Li Guang's face was pale, his facial features contorted in pain. His old voice was filled with desolation as he screamed, I'll die, but you can't. Ruolan's expression was calm. She struck again with her palm and sighed softly. It's useless. Blood ray escape. Li Guang roared as blood spurted from his right arm. The blood on their bodies disappeared and turned into a light screen that enveloped the two of them. Chirp! The blood-red light pierced through the vault of heaven, bringing with it a series of explosions. After a few flashes, it disappeared into the horizon as if it had teleported. Ruolan was slightly startled and her expression froze. A forbidden escape technique that consumes one's life? Su Yu only felt that he was enveloped in a warm and fishy sweetness. The scenery around him was like an afterimage. Li Guang's life force rapidly weakened. Finally, an hour later, they landed in front of Mountain Peak. On the peak of the mountain, there were majestic houses and graceful figures. Faintly, a layer of light screen flickered quietly, while Li Guang spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale, and his aura was extremely weak. Quick, help me over. That's my family, the Li family. There's a clan protection formation. Ruolin can't enter. So you turn around to look. 20 miles away, a figure in colorful clothes was flying toward him. Su Yu supported Li Guang and felt that Li Guang was about to die. His eyes were filled with sorrow. Why? Why did he spend 100 years to obtain such a situation? Why did he have to suffer such cruel pain in the last moments of his life when he was chased to death by the person he once loved? You'll be safe once you're home. I won't let you die. Li Guang's eyes were filled with love as he smiled encouragingly. In front of the formation, someone had already noticed Su Yu and the other's arrival. Who are you? Li Guang's breathing was weak. He smiled bitterly and took out a token from his sleeve. It was simple and exquisite, filled with the aura of time. The words Li Guang were carved on it. Li Guang, that scum Li Guang. It's him, the shame of the family. Humph. After 100 years, he returned and was severely injured by someone. Only then did he return to the clan to seek protection. Shameless. Whoosh. The crowd quietened down as an old man with black and white hair in a Taoist robe walked out. His body emitted a terrifying aura, no weaker than Rual lands. You wish to seek protection from the clan? The elder looked toward the horizon, his tone emotionless. It was as if he was facing a stranger, not a member of the same clan. Li Guang's breathing was weak as he nodded. The elder said coldly, "Do you think you have the right to enter the Li family?" Many of the Li family members shot him hateful gazes. Because of Li Guang, the Li family had to bear the brunt of infamy. Li Guang shook his head with difficulty. "No, I, Li Guang, have sinned my entire life. I have brought shame to the clan. I have no face to return to the clan." "Then why are you here?" the elder asked coldly. Li Guang pushed Suyu forward, his body turning limp as he knelt on the ground. His head drooped, and his eyes were heavy, about to close forever. With blood at the corner of his mouth, Li Guang said weakly, "Please, let him in, Holy King." Suyu knelt on the ground, looking at Ruolan, his heart burning with hatred. Why? Why did she have to hunt down an elder? The elder rejected coldly. "Outsiders are forbidden from entering the Leaf family. Please return." He turned and left. Thump! A dull thud came from behind him. Looking back, Li Guang's head was knocked heavily on the ground. His left hand was clenched into a fist, and his voice was filled with sorrow. Using the last of his strength, he shouted in a hoarse voice, "Please, let him in, on account that I was once a member of the Leaf family." With this kneel, heaven and earth stopped, time and space cried out. With this kneel, countless sorrowful cries reverberated throughout the land. In the final moments of his life, all Li Guang could do was protect Suyu, his hoarse voice, desolate cry, and sorrowful emotions. How could he still be the peerless holy king who stood at the peak of the Shenhua continent? Suyu's eyes were red and swollen. He looked at the coldly family members and said sorrowfully, "Holy king, don't beg them. Suyu will die. I will not allow the holy king to kneel for me." Li Guang raised his head again, kowtowing heavily. Thump! His voice was hoarse and sorrowful. "I beg you, let me die. Don't let him die. I beg you." Hearing the sorrowful cry reverberating through the silent mountain, the Li family members were stunned. The elder in the Taoist robe was silent for a moment. Without turning his head, he calmly said, "Open the gates. Should we leave Suyu alone?" Or, before the elder in the Taoist robe disappeared, he coldly scolded, "A member of the Li family dying at the gates is a disgrace to our ancestors. Bring him in as well." The elders activated the spell, and the two of them were brought in. At this moment, Ruolan descended. She looked at the spell, her brows creased. She paced outside the spell, unable to enter, unwilling to leave. In the backyard of the Li family, Li Guang was on the brink of death, his life hanging by a thread. He leaned against the wall, his eyes heavy, about to close. Blood no longer flowed from his wounds, because there was no more blood to flow. Holy King, so you felt guilty. If not for him, Li Guang would not have been so heavily injured. The hideous injuries on his right arm and back helped him block the attack. Li Guang extended his trembling left hand, caressing Suyu's head. He squeezed out a loving smile, his voice hoarse and weak. It's all right, you'll be fine. Let you down." Li Guang's voice trembled. "Holy King, don't say any more. Your clansmen have gone to get the medicine." Suyu's heart trembled, sorrow surging within him. Li Guang smiled, lightly shaking his head. "Don't be sad. I will die sooner or later. But before I die, I have to arrange your escape route." He trembled as he took out a token and a letter from his robes. The token was the Lucian token. The letter was addressed to the master of the Li family. "Give this letter to the master of the Li family. He will arrange for you to attend the disciple recruitment contest 5 days from now. You can enter the Lucian faction. Token, cough, cough. Token, take it. If you have the chance to meet the master." I beg, I beg him to take you as a disciple, to prevent Han Ji from harming you. Su Yu's eyes were wet. It turned out that Li Guang had already prepared a letter for Su Yu. With the token, I will definitely get the Lucian faction to investigate what happened back then, to prove the Holy King's innocence. Su Yu held the Lucian token, his heart filled with grief. This was Li Guang's lifelong wish. Li Guang slowly closed his eyes, weakly shaking his head. There's no need. Leave it for yourself, to protect yourself. I can only do this much for you. Li Guang's eyes slowly closed, a desolate smile on his face. His lifelong regret had not been fulfilled. Master! Su Yu shouted to the heavens, his chest filled with grief, burning with hatred. Li Guang's desolate smile changed slightly, revealing a gratified smile. A barely discernible voice floated in the air. You are finally willing to call me. Master, that's great. The last syllable disappeared from the world. The last breath in his nostrils was extinguished, along with a body covered in blood and a gratified smile. The Holy King had quietly fallen. Master! Su Yu's voice trembled as he knelt on the ground, kowtowing. He had spent less than a month with Li Guang. But thinking back, it felt like it had happened just yesterday. After prostrating for a long time, Su Yu's eyes were red and swollen, traces of tears still visible. She slowly raised her head, and her red eyes were filled with coldness. His silver hair fluttered, his purple robe danced in the wind. The Li family realized that the mountain peak that never snowed was covered in snowflakes. Li Guang's body was covered in snowflakes. The snowflakes had melted, turning into ice, freezing his body. His serene smile was forever frozen. Su Yu kowtowed 3 more times, his cold eyes filled with calmness. But within that calmness was an indescribable, killing intent. Master, your disciple swears to the heavens that I will take the head of your enemy and clear your name. Su Yu looked up at the snow-filled sky, swearing to the heavens and space. Han Ji Ruolan. If he did not kill them, Su Yu would never be at peace. 5 days later, Lucian faction disciple recruitment competition. Han Ji Ruolan. I, Su Yu, will take your heads one step at a time. Su Yu clenched his fists, roaring in his heart. Chapter 101. The old man stood outside the courtyard and glanced at Li Guang's frozen corpse before leaving indifferently. Su Yu's eyes flickered as he followed closely behind. Are you the Li family's master? Su Yu asked. The Taoist-robed elder's expression was indifferent. What is it? Shua. Su Yu took out the letter that Li Guang had given him before his death. On the snow-white envelope, there were blood-red finger marks. The middle-aged man in Taoist robes opened it and looked at it. Then he nodded and said, "All right, I got it." When he finished speaking, he left coldly. At night, Su Yu was sitting cross-legged in his room. A servant of the Li family came to inform him. "Mr. Su, the master has invited you over. Please follow me." After a while, the younger generation of the Li family gathered in the meeting hall. The youngest was 15 years old, and the oldest was no more than 20. However, his cultivation was shocking. The weakest among them was a 15-year-old youth who had reached the upper tier of the 9th heaven. The strongest among them was a 20-year-old young man. His body was faintly discernible and was surrounded by spiritual energy. His cultivation had actually reached the level of a half-step holy king. These 10 youths could sweep away all the peerless geniuses of Shunyue Island in the past 100 years. 5 days later, it will be the time for the Lucian faction to recruit disciples from the outside. All of you must bring glory to your family. Strive to raise the ranking of the family among the 100 vassal clans of the Lucian faction. The middle-aged man in the Taoist robe ordered coldly. Yes, Patriarch. The youths were excited and eager to give it a try. The Lucian faction had 100 vassal families. The Li family was one of them, ranked 30th. However, even if he was only ranked 30th, he would still be able to sweep away all the proud geniuses of the Mystic Moon continent in the past 100 years. How many dazzling geniuses would there be in the entire 100 races? What kind of colossus was the Lucian faction? How difficult would the recruitment competition be? If you can successfully become an outer sanctum disciple of the Lucian faction, you will be rewarded with 3 low-grade marrow cleansing elixirs. If you can successfully become an inner sanctum disciple of the Lucian faction, you will be rewarded with a medium-grade marrow cleansing elixir and the right to be the next master of the family. The young man's eyes shone brightly. The rewards for entering the gate were extremely generous, causing one to be extremely envious. Especially after becoming an inner disciple, one could even become a candidate for the patriarch. Tomorrow, we will depart for the Lucian faction. Today, all of you better prepare yourselves. The middle-aged man in the Taoist robe said coldly. With a wave of his sleeve, 11 jade bottles flew toward each of the youths. One of them flew toward Suyu. Suyu was puzzled. Did he have one as well? Inside the jade bottle was a light blue pill that emitted a peculiar fragrance. With a light sniff, his body seemed to have become much clearer and more ethereal, which was amazing. Low-grade marrow cleansing pill. 1 pill could only be taken during festivals. For this competition, an exception would be made. What a pleasant surprise. Hee. If a martial artist consumes it, it can purify his physical body and weaken the barrier to break through to the Saint King stage. If a Saint King consumes it, it can also improve his physical body and raise his physiological limits. It is extremely valuable and hard to find even with money. Suyu was shocked. Was the marrow cleansing elixir so precious? After the clan had left, the youths in the room were indescribably excited. Suddenly, a few gazes landed on Suyu, landing on a low-grade marrow cleansing elixir in his hand. That's strange. He's not a member of my Leaf family. It's one thing for him to participate in this meeting, but he's actually given a marrow cleansing pill. A young girl coldly said. Obviously, it was annoying for outsiders to share what belonged to them. Suyu's expression was indifferent. He turned a deaf ear to it and strode away. Stop right there. If you leave the marrow cleansing pill behind. A level 9 peak youth walked over quickly, blocking Suyu's path and provoking him. Suyu lightly shook his head. You're no match for him. Move aside. An outsider dares to be so arrogant in the Leaf family. The level 9 peak youth sneered, casually throwing a punch at Suyu's chest. Slightly impatient, Suyu raised his finger and tapped on the youth's fist. Hiss! The youth reacted as if he had been electrocuted. He quickly retracted his hand, shaking off the stinging cold fist. He angrily said, What cold hidden weapon did you use? Despicable. Again. At that moment, with many juniors of the same clan watching, the youth did not want to lose face. He humphed angrily and threw another punch. Stop. You're no match for him. A cold and resolute voice was brief but powerful. Hearing this, the youth's eyes were filled with respect. He immediately withdrew his fist, but he was slightly dissatisfied. Big brother Kongwei, you underestimate me. I was only injured by a hidden weapon. My cultivation level is higher. How could I lose to him? You didn't even notice the opponent using a top deity level technique. It would be strange if you could defeat him. Li Kongwei reprimanded as he strode forward. His body was thin, his face was resolute, and he had short hair. His eyes were like a tiger's, fierce and full of spirit. He was the genius who had surpassed level 9 peak and was half a step into the Holy King realm. Top deity level technique? Him? Many juniors were slightly shocked and stopped underestimating Suyu. It was not rare for someone to have mastered a top deity level technique. What was rare was that Suyu was so young. His level of comprehension was not low. The crowd looked at each other, but no one stepped forward. Among them, many felt confident that they could defeat Suyu. However, a level 9 upper tier with a top deity level technique meant that his abilities were passable. Other than level 9 pinnacle cultivators who had cultivated deity tier cultivation techniques to perfection and half-step Holy King Li Kongwei, who could easily defeat them, the others would have to expend some effort. Making a fool of himself in public was a small matter, but being scolded by the elders who rushed over upon hearing the news was a big matter. Can I leave now? Suyu calmly asked. Li Guang had fallen, but there was still a knot in his heart that had not been resolved. He was not in the mood to get entangled with them. Li Konghui placed his hands behind his back and nodded his chin. Molly Clan's pills are distributed to outsiders, and it would be difficult for our clansmen to accept it. However, on account of Li Guang, you can accept it this time. However, there will be no next time. Miley Clan isn't a charity, and we can't be charitable in the long run. All right, if you understand, you can leave now. Li Konghui's tone was as if he was giving alms. Su Yu's expression was calm. He took out the elixir and stuffed it into the hands of the level 9 peak youth who had asked for it before. He then left with his hands clasped behind his back. Li Guang kowtowed and begged. To Su Yu, the Li family was already doing him a favor that the Li family was unwilling to give. Accepting charity once was enough. If he accepted it a second time, perhaps it would be difficult for him to stand up again. Everyone was stunned for a moment. He only knows how to bully the weak and fear the strong. If Brother Li Niu asked for it, he would help. If Brother Konghui asked for it, he would immediately shrink back like a tortoise. I don't think so. He probably has a strong ego and felt insulted, so he returned the pills. Now he must be feeling pain in his heart, wanting to save face even if he had to. Su Yu's refusal to give alms had obviously caused the Li family disciples to feel bad. Li Konghui creased his brows and shook his head. Arrogant and arrogant. He won't amount to much. Returning to his room, Su Yu was shocked to find a jade bottle and a jade box on the table. Inside the box was a light blue pill, a low-grade marrow cleansing pill. Within the jade box were 2 crystal membranes the size of fingernails. Beside it was a note. First, the pills are not alms. Li Guang willingly removed his name from the Li family in exchange for 3 items. First, the marrow cleansing pill. Second, the right to participate in the Lucian faction recruitment contest. Third, the eye concealment membrane. These are all prepared for you. Whether you accept them or not is up to you. Second, Li Guang was wrongly accused. He was righteous. The one who committed the crime was definitely not him. But I care about the Li family. Even though I know Li Guang was wronged, I cannot go against the Lucian faction. If you have the chance, please cleanse Li Guang's injustice. Thirdly, in the past, Li Guang should have been punished for his crimes and executed. However, the second elder of the Lucian faction protected him, and he was spared from death. He was then sent to Shenyue Island. If you're fated, you might be able to seek his protection. Even though the note was not signed, it was undoubtedly written by the master of the Li family. Even though he knew Li Guang was wronged, Hanji was powerful. As a dependent family, the master of the Li family did not dare express his anger. He did not even dare get too close to Li Guang, who had just returned 100 years ago. 100 years of family was right in front of him, but he pretended to be a stranger, causing Li Guang to die alone. How sad and helpless was that? Holding the marrow cleansing pill, Su Yu felt sad. Li Guang had already prepared an escape route for Su Yu before he met Ruolan. The price was to be removed from the family. His existence was a stain on the Li family. To be removed from the family was exactly what many of the Li family members wanted. But to a person who had wandered the land for 100 years, wasn't returning to his home after his death the ultimate goal of his life? For Su Yu, he was willing to give up his home. Being removed from the family meant that he had lost the right to be buried in the Li family tomb. Su Yu was moved as he placed the 2 crystalline membranes into his eyes. His abnormal purple eyes were hidden. The seal of time that he could not control was also temporarily sealed. There was no need to intentionally close his eyes. Li Guang had even considered this for Su Yu's sake. Su Yu quickly consumed the low-grade marrow cleansing pill. As the pill entered his body, the miraculous effects spread throughout his limbs. His body felt as if it was being cleansed by pure water, washing away the impurities in his body. An hour later, a faint stench was expelled from his pores. The stench and stickiness were the impurities in his bones, flesh, and blood. They were the impurities from years of eating and breathing. They settled in the body, preventing the human body from harmonizing with nature. After removing the impurities, Su Yu's body was clear, as if he had returned to his mother's body. His body was clear and in harmony with nature. At a glance, Xiao Qin's mental appearance seemed to have undergone a complete transformation. Based on his intuition, His physiological limits had changed, becoming closer to the constitution of a holy king. Furthermore, the pill contained a powerful energy that pushed Su Yu's cultivation level to level 9 peak. As expected of the marrow cleansing pill, it is only a low-grade pill, but it is already so shocking, Su Yu muttered. He could faintly feel a powerful energy in the air. That was spirit energy. Sensing spirit energy was the first step. Absorbing spirit energy was the second step. If he could absorb spirit energy, he could successfully enter the realm of half-holy king, which was Li Konghui's realm. Su Yu is currently at the first step, only a step away from half-holy king. If I could get another 10 low-grade marrow cleansing pills, I should be able to enter the realm of half-holy king, Su Yu muttered. He then shook his head and laughed at himself. If Su Yu knew that 10 low-grade marrow cleansing pills could help him enter the realm of half-holy king, how could the Li family not know? But each person was only given one pill. This meant that the Li family only had 10 pills a year. To be able to get one was already a blessing. The next day, the team set off. But before they set off, Su Yu asked for Li Guang's body. He could not be buried in the Li family. To avoid being abandoned by the Li family, Su Yu arranged for him to be buried on a desolate hill outside the Li family. Su Yu knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Master, I will not return until I take the heads of Han Ji and Ruolin. In his heart, Su Yu had another wish. He wanted to rebury Li Guang's body in the family. Li Guang had been alone for 100 years. He should not be alone after his death. The 11 of them set off for the Lucian faction. The Li family master, the middle-aged man in the Taoist robe, led the team. Along the way, the Li family juniors chattered, exchanging their experiences and sparring. Su Yu, on the other hand, was alone and was intentionally neglected by the Li family. A few days later, arriving at the Lucian faction, a magnificent sight unfolded before them. Among the mountains, there were majestic palaces, rising and falling, vast and boundless. Pavilions and towers floated in the air, like a celestial palace. Spiritual beasts galloped through the air. Occasionally, there were celestial figures flying through the air. Countless first-timers were deeply shaken. The scene before them was like an ancient myth. At this moment, there were close to 1,000 martial artists gathered in front of the Lucian faction. The top 10 geniuses of the 100 vassal clans had all arrived. As Su Yu, a sharp scream came from not far away. Chapter 102. Su Yu tilted his head to look. It was Lu Guang. He was following a short and fat youth, smiling apologetically to maintain order. The short and fat youth was about the same age as Su Yu, but his cultivation level had reached second-level Holy King. A 14-year-old second-level Holy King. Su Yu was slightly shocked. Li Guang and Su Rong had trained for 100 years, but were only second-level Holy Kings. Even a genius like Li Konghui was only half a Holy King at the age of 20. Su Yu calmed himself down and retracted his gaze. He was thinking about how Xiener and Jingyu were doing. With their talents, they might have already been taken in as disciples by some powerful martial artist. The short and fat youth glanced at Su Yu. You know him? Hearing this, Lu Guang bowed so that he was at the same height as the short and fat youth, like a slave. He looked at Su Yu and curled his lips in disdain. He's a genius from the same island as me. He was tested to have a worthless spirit and was abandoned on a deserted island. Somehow, he managed to come to the Jinlong continent and sneak into the Lucian faction's disciple recruitment test. Hearing that it was a worthless spirit, the short and fat youth lost interest. Lu Guang's eyes flashed with viciousness as he whispered, Senior Yuan Hu, he's Li Guang's disciple. The short and fat youth's gaze suddenly froze, his lips forming an arc combined with his chubby face. Not only did he not look honest, he looked savage. Interesting. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. His gaze turned to Li Konghui and the rest. What's your relationship with him? The Li family disciples were shocked. They already hated Su Yu and immediately kept their distance. Li Konghui was cautious. We're just strangers. It's best if we're strangers. If you get involved with him, I'll make you beg for mercy. Finally, he glanced at Su Yu coldly. It's best if you don't enter the Lucian faction. If you do, take care. With that, he swaggered off. Lu Guang's lips curled into a playful smile. That was senior brother Yuan Hu, the 10th elder of the sect. He's the new last disciple. One word from him, and you will never be able to reincarnate in the sect. When he finished speaking, the corners of his lips curled up in a playful manner. I almost forgot that a trash spirit like you doesn't even have the right to enter the sect. You don't even have the right to be suppressed by senior brother Yuan Hu. If you were on Shunyue Island, you might be able to call the wind and summon the rain, showing off your might. However, in the Jinlong continent, you are not even considered as a lowly ant. The gap between us will only grow bigger and bigger. Qila, a wisp of spiritual energy, surrounded flowing light. After not seeing him for a month, he had actually broken through to first-level Saint King and become a true Saint King. Su Yu's expression was calm. The gap between us is still the same. The Holy King realm is something a useless spirit like you will never understand. Just as well, we might meet in a spar later. I'll let you witness the might of a Holy King. Lu Guang pursed his lips in ridicule and left. Huqi. Suddenly, a female figure flew above the 1,000 people, and 100 petals fell. A low voice came from the woman's mouth. 10 flower petals contain a low-grade marrow cleansing pill. It belongs to whoever manages to snatch it. The woman flew over like a celestial shadow, catching a glimpse of it. The crowd was seething. Apart from the top 30 families, not many vassal families had a low-grade marrow cleansing pill. Even the top 30 geniuses rarely had a chance to obtain a marrow cleansing pill. Among the 100 flower petals, there were 10 of them. If he could get one, why not fight for it? Su Yu was tempted. Swoosh. Using his superior eyesight, Su Yu looked up at the 100 flower petals. It looked like it was far away, but it was no different from the one in front of him. In an instant, Su Yu discovered that 3 low-grade marrow cleansing pills were bound to the flower petals. However, before the flower petals had even fallen, half-holy kings had already soared into the sky, flying through the air to snatch the pills. Half-holy kings, with their vital energy transformed into wings, were extremely fast. Li Konghui's eyes glowed as he soared into the sky, grabbing a flower petal with one hand, but there was nothing there. While he was secretly cursing his bad luck, a flower petal suddenly floated to his side, bound to a low-grade marrow cleansing pill. Li Konghui's face lit up as he raised his palm to grab it. Rumble. However, at that moment, a swift and fierce palm strike struck his back. Wah! Li Konghui's internal organs shook violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered back dozens of meters. The pills are mine. A 15-year-old youth in black grinned. Li Konghui was furious, but when he looked at the other party's strength, his face was filled with fear. First-level Holy King. A 15-year-old first-level Holy King. Furthermore, Li Konghui recognized that this was the Wu family's genius, Wu Pengyun, the third-ranked family of the 100 vassal clans. Li Konghui did not dare to face him head-on, instead turning to look for the pills hidden under the other flower petals. Swoosh, swoosh! A ray of purple light flickered beside him. Moving swiftly, ignoring the flower petals around him, he accurately grabbed 3 flower petals. What was shocking was that each flower petal contained a low-grade marrow cleansing pill. So he did not hesitate, stuffing it into his robes. His gaze swept across the area and immediately discovered 2 more low-grade marrow cleansing pills that no one had noticed. Swoosh! He flew over and grabbed them in his palm, feeling delighted. While others were still trying to identify which flower petals contained low-grade marrow cleansing pills, Su Yu had already made his move. In a short moment, he had obtained 5 low-grade marrow cleansing pills. Su Yu's actions caught everyone's attention. He snatched 5 pills, someone exclaimed. His words caused everyone's eyes to turn red. Swoosh, swoosh! Under the temptation of 5 low-grade marrow cleansing pills, no one could resist. 10 rays of light flew over. Su Yu smiled coldly. Good timing. Swoosh! The purple light was like a shadow, lingering in the air as it passed through a large group of people. His speed was comparable to a half-holy king's, with ease. My elixir. He took it away. One of the half-holy kings who was besieging Su Yu was shocked. He had secretly obtained one and had clearly placed it in his robes. How could Su Yu have detected it? How could he have known that Su Yu's glance was as if he was right in front of him? How could he resist Su Yu's probing? There was a total of 10 low-grade marrow-cleansing pills, and 6 of them had been obtained by one person, shocking everyone. In a split second, a strange scene appeared in the sky. Several half-holy kings were chasing a 14-year-old youth, running all over the sky. The 14-year-old youth was at ease, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll, easily avoiding the encirclement. Whoosh! Just as Su Yu was dodging the pursuers, a ray of black light suddenly flashed beside him like a phantom. A pair of cold eyes contained a hint of mockery. Seeing that you have worked hard to collect 6 marrow-cleansing pills for me, I will go easy on you. Boom! The giant palm, condensed with the power of a first-level holy king, crashed into Su Yu's chest. His attack was ruthless, causing serious injuries. There was no mercy to speak of. The looting is over. An indifferent voice sounded. Dong. Following that was the sound of a gong imbued with spiritual energy, shaking the entire area. Everyone present trembled. The vital energy in his body collapsed. The spiritual energy in his body was in disorder. His figure in the air was on the verge of collapse, about to fall. The half-holy king's expressions changed as they flew to the ground. Several holy kings also swayed and fell to the ground. Wu Pangyun clenched his teeth. The palm in his hand was forcefully interrupted. He glared fiercely at Su Yu. Consider yourself lucky. Su Yu's expression was calm. All the half-holy kings and holy kings returned to the ground with nervous expressions. Only Su Yu was not affected by the gong in the slightest. He slowly floated down, stunning everyone. Several holy king disciples could not help but be astonished. How could they know that Su Yu's ability to float in the air was not due to his vital energy transforming into wings? It was merely a result of his top-class lightness cultivation technique. Even if he did not use his movement techniques, it was enough to astonish thousands of heaven rulers. Out of a total of 10 low-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs, Su Yu had obtained 6. How domineering, how breathtaking. Purple robes, silver hair, and a different temperament left a deep impression. In the crowd, Lu Guang was among them, his expression cold, still as arrogant as ever. However, it's fine if you're arrogant on Shenyue Island, but you're arrogant on Jinlong Continent. You really don't know how to spell the word death. Su Yu floated back down, quietly standing outside of the Li family crowd. He turned a blind eye to the surrounding gazes. The Li family's genius juniors swallowed hard. 6 pills, a whole 6 low-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs. Su Yu alone had obtained half a year's worth of the Li family's wealth. At that moment, some of the juniors wanted to curry favor with Su Yu and ask for one. But along the way, how could they neglect Su Yu? How could they make things difficult for Su Yu in the hall yesterday? Thinking back, they felt remorseful and were too ashamed to ask for it. Your luck is not bad. Li Konghui looked over coldly, giving a brief comment. But the Li family disciples realized that Li Konghui had lost his usual aloof composure and was instead filled with jealousy. They had all seen with their own eyes that the low-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs that should have belonged to Li Konghui had been snatched away by Wu Pangyun. And Su Yu, whom they hated, had snatched 6 of them. It was no wonder that Li Konghui had lost his composure. Su Yu looked over indifferently, non-committally replying, perhaps. Arrogant from success. Li Konghui grunted. Su Yu's cold reply was a silent boast to him. Whoosh! The woman who had flown into the sky floated in the air, quietly standing in front of the crowd. Her expression was gentle, dignified and virtuous. Even though she was over 40 years old, she still retained her charm and gentle temperament, causing the hearts of several youths to waver. Su Yu's pupils shrank, his eyes filled with murderous intent. She, Ruo, Lan. Su Yu hated Hanji for causing Li Guang to be alone for 100 years. But the person he hated the most was Shi Ruolin. What Shi Ruolin had hurt was not Li Guang's body, but Li Guang's heart. Who could have imagined that after 100 years of suffering, it was all for a woman? In the end, all he got in return was her merciless betrayal and cold, murderous intent. Su Yu's only goal in entering the Lucian faction was to take her head. As if she had felt his gaze, Shi Ruolin's gaze drifted over, calm and unperturbed. It was as if she had never chased after him and Li Guang with her bloody hands. Her red lips parted, her voice gentle and melodious. The first round of the recruitment test has ended. What? The test hasn't even started. How could it have ended? Not only were the disciples at a loss, even the elders leading the team could not understand. Shi Ruolin softly said, "The first round of the test is to snatch elixirs and flower petals. The test is to test the competitiveness of the disciples. Snatching an elixir will get you 2 points. Snatching a flower petal will get you 1 point. The rest of the people are all unqualified. Please come again in 5 years." What? Snatching the flower petals and elixirs is actually a test, and 900 people are directly eliminated? This time, even the elders were flustered. Every year, the Lucian faction's recruitment test would change, but it was always within the control of the elders. But this year's recruitment test, the inexplicable fight for the elixirs and flower petals, had shut most of the people out. Their talents have not even been tested. Why are they being eliminated? Some elders argued. Among them, there were too many juniors who had not even managed to snatch a flower petal. In fact, many juniors could not even fly into the sky, giving up on snatching and watching from the sidelines. Such a test was too dispirited. Shi Ruolin calmly shook her head. In this recruitment test, talent is secondary. Individual strength and competitiveness are the main points of the test. The faction master has decided. If you have any objections, you can enter the faction to ask. Although the elders were furious, they kept quiet out of fear. Argue with the Lucian faction master? Who would have such guts? One look from the Lucian faction master could turn them into ashes. Retracting her gaze, Shi Ruolin expressionlessly said, "Those who snatch the flower petals and elixirs step forward." Whoosh! Out of 1,000 people, only 90 people stepped forward. After all, many people had snatched a few flower petals, causing the others to lose their chance. The second test, individual strength. Shi Ruolin extended her jade-like finger, pointing at Su Yu. "Step forward." Su Yu's heart was ice cold. She was using her position for personal gain to block him outside the Lucian faction. Good. Whoosh. Su Yu stepped forward, standing in front of the crowd. Shi Ruolin calmly said, "The rules of the test are to challenge 10 consecutive matches. The chosen opponent must not be weaker than you. If you cannot last 10 matches, you will be eliminated. The time limit is 2 hours. If you exceed 10 matches, the more you win, the more points you will get. The points will be stacked with the points obtained from snatching the flower petals and elixirs. Also, the person with the highest score will be rewarded with 5 low-grade marrow cleansing elixirs and an exception to enter the faction's depository of scriptures." The crowd gasped. For such a test, not to mention the 2-hour time limit, just winning 10 matches in a row was extremely difficult. Unless one was at the peak of the same cultivation level, it would be impossible. However, the reward for the person with the highest score was shocking. Not to mention how precious 5 low-grade marrow cleansing elixirs were. The depository of scriptures of the Lucian faction contained many precious and incomplete cultivation techniques. This was something that the 100 vassal clans coveted. Their families did not have such a cultivation technique. The scripture depository was a place that only inner disciples could enter if they made contributions. How shocking would the rewards be? In an instant, the 90 geniuses were envious. The reward for the person with the highest score was too generous. Shi Ruolin calmly said, "The challenge begins. You can freely choose your opponent. Remember, you only have 2 hours. If you do not complete it, you will be eliminated." Su Yu's expression was cold. He was pulled out first to make it difficult for him to judge the abilities of the rest of the opponents and eliminate him first. The following contestants would undoubtedly have a greater advantage. After watching the battles, it was clear which of the same cultivation level were weaker. Suyu was feeling his way through the river. If he was not careful, he might provoke a strong opponent of the same cultivation level. The possibility of him being defeated was high. Shirulan, I'll show you. Suyu will prove it to you. Suyu extended his finger and pointed in a certain direction. The person he pointed at was a 19-year-old bearded youth. He was filled with battle intent. He took a step forward and grinned. Challenge me? Haha, that's exactly what I wanted. But Suyu's finger changed direction, moving in another direction and drawing an arc in the air. I'm not challenging you. Suyu calmly glanced at him. The bearded youth's expression froze, angrily grunting. Aren't you toying with me? Shirulan lightly creased her brows. If you do not choose your opponent in 3 breaths' time, you will be eliminated. 1, 2. Who said I did not choose my opponent? Suyu coldly said. After he finished speaking, his gaze swept across the crowd. Everyone within the arc of my finger stepped forward. I will fight all of you alone. Shirulan's expression froze. When his finger had moved, he had pointed at least 50 people, half of the crowd. Among them, there were more than 20 people who had the same cultivation level as him. One person challenging 20 people? How could he be so ridiculous and reckless? After a moment of silence, the crowd burst into laughter. Shirulan creased her brows, indifferently saying, Suyu has disrupted the rules of the competition, eliminated. Suyu coldly looked back. I'm sorry, I'm serious. Saying this, he swept his gaze across the 20 people. This is the last time. Step forward. I will fight all of you alone. Since he was going to be stunning, he had to be stunning to the end. If he remained unknown in the sect, sooner or later, he would be assassinated by Hanji and Shirulan without a trace. He might as well be high profile from the start and appear in the eyes of the higher-ups of the faction. If that was the case, Hanji and Shirulan would have to think twice if they were to play tricks on him. This was something Suyu had considered carefully. Before he had a strong backing, exposing himself in front of others was the safest method. Hence, not only did he have to be arrogant, he had to be arrogant to the end. One person challenging 20 people. This was just the beginning. I was too engrossed in my writing and forgot to upload the time. Sorry everyone, there is still the 3rd update at 8 in the evening. Chapter 103. The laughter in the hall gradually subsided and was replaced by bewilderment. Are you serious? Shirulan repeated her question with a serious expression. The crowd gradually fell silent. Suyu's eyes were clear, occasionally flashing with wisdom. He was not a ridiculous person. Could he be serious? Suyu nodded slightly. Yes, I am not lying. After a moment of silence, the elders of the 100 vassal clans and the sons of heaven were in an uproar. Many of the elders secretly sized up Suyu, exchanging glances with each other. Such confidence. Does he really have some ability? I don't know how much ability he has, but his tone and arrogance are rare. Which clan is he from? It looks like he is from the 30th ranked Lee family. Master Lee felt the strange gazes of the 100 vassal clans and felt a little bitter. Suyu's boastful tone did not match with his calm and experienced appearance. After thinking for a moment, Master Lee, who was well aware of Suyu's situation, suddenly understood Suyu's good intentions. To be exposed in front of everyone, he had no choice but to be high profile. While secretly praising Suyu's quick-wittedness, he was also deeply worried. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Moreover, deliberately being high profile would inevitably incur the wrath of the masses. More importantly, did Suyu have the ability to fight 20 people alone? Would it be too much? Li Kongwei and the others also felt many people pointing at them, and could not help but feel angry. Ever since they had traveled with Suyu, they had been inexplicably warned by Yuan Hu, then publicly embarrassed the Li family. Li Konghui's sharp eyes flashed with anger. His nostrils flared. Disgraceful. Islanders from a barbaric island. Frogs at the bottom of a well. Do you think the geniuses of the Jinlong continent are at the level of a small island? Another Li family member was furious. Shirulan looked at Suyu. muttered to herself for a moment, then nodded. 1 against 20 you can, but if you lose, you will be directly eliminated. Suyu coldly nodded. No problem. Shirulin's slender finger swept across the group of people. Among you, those who are level 9 peak and above, step forward. Swoosh! Of those chosen, 19 were level 9 peak and 1 half-holy king. All 20 of them stepped forward, their eyes filled with shame and indignation. One person fighting 20 people, such humiliation, it was simply unheard of. The half-step holy king stood with his arms crossed, showing no intention of making a move. 20 people against one person was already an unfair victory. He was just a half-step holy king, so he was even more disdainful to make a move. He only had a calm expression on his face as he said, "If you wanted to be in the limelight, congratulations, you've already done so. Next, you should consider how to face their anger." So he took a step forward and slowly put down his hands that were behind his back. His expression was calm, like the calm waters of autumn and winter, without any ripples. "Their anger can be extinguished with my fists." Arrogant. Did he really think he was something? Let's go together and fulfill his wish. A level 9 peak martial artist furiously attacked. Following that, the rest of the level 9 peak elites also made their moves. Iron Dragon Retreat. Guide the Country. Soul Snatching Dance. There were close to 20 level 9 peak attacks in different forms and colors. In an instant, it was like a dazzling firework, dazzling and shocking. Suyu stood in the middle, his eyes calm. Whoosh! As the attack came, Suyu's silver hair fluttered in the wind. His chest, where his heart was located, emitted a shocking chill. Dong dong. The sweeping snowflakes shattered into thousands of cold liquids that enveloped the entire area. Crack, creak. Any drops of water that fell on his clothes immediately turned into ice. Not good. Circulate your vital energy to dispel the ice. After all, they were geniuses of the Zhenlong continent, experienced and knowledgeable. However, wherever Suyu's heart went, everything turned into ice. The wind and snow fluttered endlessly. It took a lot of effort for the crowd to resist the ice. Whoosh! Suyu's purple figure disappeared into thin air, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll through the crowd. Anyone who was touched by the fingertip would immediately turn into an ice sculpture. Crack! Wherever Suyu passed, everything turned into ice crystals. Many geniuses wanted to find Suyu and quickly finish him off. However, there were too many of them and their line of sight was blocked. In addition, they did not have any way to team up before this. Their formation was scattered and they were at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. When a few people surrounded Suyu, more than half of them had already turned into ice sculptures. What's so great about relying on a secret technique? Try fighting us head-on. The remaining 4 level 9 peak elites looked at each other and swarmed forward. Suyu's vital energy surged. The vital energy in his body turned into ice, protecting his side. At the same time, he used his fists and legs. 1 against 4, he had both offense and defense. Rumble, pitter-patter. Even so, Suyu was not at a disadvantage. On the contrary, every time someone collided with him, they were frozen into ice. In the blink of an eye, for people were frozen into ice sculptures. Finally, only you were left. Suyu looked over indifferently. The last person was a half-holy king. It was a 17-year-old young man with handsome features. His face was calm and composed, and he was not the least bit affected by Suyu's shocking combat power. Deity-level technique top class at the age of 14. You have good perception and, at the same time, you can control your ice technique freely. You're good at group battles. It is not without reason that you can take on many people alone. In short, your overall strength is not bad. There are not many level 9 peak elites who can defeat you. The half-holy king smiled as he gave a brief evaluation. Although it was a compliment, it was only a not bad. Well, how's my name? Remember it. The half-holy king had a faint smile on his face as he said in a relaxed manner. Suyu was stunned for a moment before he replied politely, "My name is, I do not need to know your name, nor do I want to know it. Wu Hao smiled as he put down his crossed arms. You are merely the first stepping stone in my assessment. I told you my name because I wanted you to remember who the person who defeated you was. So you closed his mouth and nodded. All right, I understand what you mean. Please make your move. Wu Hao pursed his lips into a smile. Looks like you have already remembered my name. Step down. A drop in the ocean. Wu Hao raised his finger and pointed at Suyu. A strand of natural energy gathered at the tip of Wu Hao's finger. It contained the faint scent of seawater, a sign of comprehension of the ocean. The azure blue light was shaped like the waves of the ocean. Suyu faced it directly, as if he was a drop in the ocean about to capsize. Holy decree. Suyu's lips curled into a smile. Ice and thunder feast. Suyu raised his finger, the purple and white light fusing at his fingertip. Purple thunder and white ice, the fusion and feast of the two natural energies. Rumble. It was like a divine light that could destroy the world, crossing time and space. Creak. The purple and white light contained the power of destruction. It tore through the waves of the ocean and struck Wu Hao's chest. Ah, puff! Wu Hao was caught off guard. He let out a horrible shriek, spitting blood as he was sent flying. His eyes were filled with shock. He had actually lost to the nature holy decree that he was most proud of. Furthermore, it was a crushing defeat. Suyu stood with his hands behind his back, calmly looking over. You are Wu Hao? I have indeed remembered your name. You are a good stepping stone. Wu Hao's face turned red. He was so embarrassed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. Amidst the laughter of the crowd, Wu Hao left the arena pathetically. The battle had ended. Within an hour, all 20 people had been eliminated. If anyone still doubted that Suyu had relied on an ice cultivation technique, then his holy decree defeating Wu Hao was enough to prove that Suyu had the ability to be arrogant. Who was this person from the Li family? Why haven't I heard of him? The elders exchanged glances, all of them surprised. Li Konghui was an outstanding talent of the Li family, but compared to Suyu, he paled in comparison. For the Li family to bring Suyu to the competition, it was clear that they had a close relationship. Could it be that he had married a daughter of the Li family? If that was the case, they would need to pay attention to Suyu's future battles. The juniors went from initially laughing to mockery to reverence and worship. Purple robes, silver hair, hands clasped behind his back, standing in the middle of the arena. His facial features were handsome, his expression was romantic, and his temperament was noble and otherworldly. He was like a young deity from the celestial realm who had descended from the celestial realm. Many people were stunned as they stared at the peerlessly talented purple-clothed figure that had shocked everyone. Many youths of the same age, and even slightly older, felt inferior. Many young girls' eyes sparkled. One against 20 people, his unparalleled heroism was deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Coupled with his noble temperament and fairy-like appearance, it was the first awakening of love for the ignorant young girls. Brother Konghui. A delicate voice entered Li Konghui's ears. Looking to the side, he saw a 16-year-old girl dressed in pink. She was beautiful, petite, and adorable, smiling as she walked towards him. Many of the youths had hidden love in their eyes. Their gazes followed her figure, involuntarily drifting. Chun Shui'er, who was ranked 10th among the 100 vassal clans, had the reputation of being the flower of the 100 vassal clans. She was beautiful, mischievous, and adorable, and was loved by many youths. Chun Shui'er. Li Konghui was a little embarrassed, overwhelmed by the attention. Although Chun Shui'er was adorable and lively, there were very few men who could get close to her. Li Konghui had feelings for her, and had tried to communicate with her, but Chun Shui'er was not interested, and they rarely talked. Now that Chun Shui'er had taken the initiative to talk to him, and even called him Brother Konghui, Li Konghui's heart thumped wildly. Feeling the countless jealous gazes from the surrounding people, Li Konghui's vanity was greatly satisfied. Chun Shui'er's footsteps were light, and a faint fragrance assaulted his nostrils. Hee, Brother Konghui, are you treating me like an outsider? Just call me Shui'er. Chun Shui'er's lips curled into two cute dimples. Hearing this, Li Konghui's blood flowed faster. and his heart thumped uncontrollably. His face turned red, and his lips trembled. Chan Shuer let out a soft grunt, and her snow-white face gradually blushed. Her eyes were filled with shyness, and she lowered her head, not daring to look Li Konghui in the eye. "Brother Konghui, can I ask you something?" "Thump, thump, could it be that Chan Shuer has feelings for me?" The deep shyness and the blush on her jade-like face were signs of a young girl's heart budding. "Speak, speak." Li Konghui's heart was in his throat, and his face was flushed red. Chan Shuer's embarrassment deepened. She buried her head in her chest and said in a low voice, "Brother Konghui, did that purple-robed young master marry into your Li clan? If not, could you introduce me to him?" Boom! Li Konghui's head felt as if it had been struck by lightning, and his face turned stiff. His wildly thumping heart felt as if it had been splashed with a layer of ice water, and it completely froze, causing him to suffocate. Chan Shuer. She had approached him to ask about Su Yu. Her face was filled with love and shyness, and it was not towards Li Konghui, but towards Su Yu. Shuer. Yu. Li Konghui's mind was blank. The person he had a crush on had actually fallen in love with Su Yu, whom he looked down upon. This was difficult for him to accept. Chan Shuer's face was completely red, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito's. "No, I did not. I just wanted to get to know him. Brother Konghui, please don't misunderstand." Even though she said that, how could her expression fool Li Konghui? Li Konghui felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Reality was so cruel. My parents' impression of him seems to be very good. They were the ones who asked me to come. Chan Shuer's voice became softer, and she shyly glanced at the Chin family. Her parents' eyes were filled with admiration as they sized up Su Yu, who was standing quietly with his hands behind his back. Puff. Chapter 104. Did that mean that Su Yu could become the son-in-law of the Chun family with just a nod of his head? From then on, he would be the flower of the 100 clans? The huge disparity made Li Konghui feel like his chest was about to explode. Ever since Su Yu had appeared, nothing had gone according to his wishes. Now, he had captured the heart of the girl he had a crush on. No, he had even captured the hearts of his in-laws. This was intolerable. The Li family had treated Su Yu so well, yet he was biting the hand that fed him. "All right, I will introduce you two after this." Li Konghui clenched his teeth, his eyes filled with hatred. Chan Shuer smiled. "Thank you, Brother Konghui. You're a good person." Grateful for Li Konghui's selfless help, Chan Shuer's face turned red. She bit her lips and said shyly, Actually, my parents really like Brother Su Yu. They said that if it was possible, they would betroth me to him. If it's true, you must come to our wedding feast." The Chin family master had the intention of wooing Su Yu into their family. Poof! His parting words had once again stabbed him in the back. "Su Yu!" Li Konghui roared from the bottom of his heart. His hatred for Su Yu seeped into his bones. Su Yu had no idea what was going on. With an hour left, Su Yu continued to challenge many people at once. As time was limited, Su Yu tried his best to avoid challenging half-holy kings, but it was inevitable. In the time it took to brew half a cup of tea, Su Yu challenged 10 people. Among them was a female half-holy king. After defeating 10 level 9 peaks, only the half-holy king was left. "It's your turn. Make your move." Su Yu silently calculated the time. There were still a few breaths left, not enough time to defeat her. "My name is Chan Shuer. I admit defeat." The half-holy king stuck out her pink tongue and ran off the stage with a red face. Su Yu was stunned. This was the first time an opponent had admitted defeat. Even a level 9 peak would fight to the end despite knowing he was no match for her. The half-holy king before him had admitted defeat. Su Yu did not even have time to see her face clearly. Shi Rulin tapped her finger on the gong, calmly announcing, "Su Yu, 49 consecutive battles, 98 points. Previously, you obtained 6 elixirs and 5 flower petals, a total of 115 points. Next you." Shi Rulin casually pointed at Li Konghui. Li Konghui glared at Su Yu, then leaped to the center of the battlefield and pointed at a group of people. "I challenge all 20 of you at the same time. Everyone was in an uproar. However, with Su Yu's outstanding performance, challenging 20 people at the moment was no longer enough to attract the attention of the crowd. Patriarch Li frowned deeply. Acting on impulse and impetuous, there was a reason why Su Yu was so arrogant. Li Konghui, on the other hand, was competing with Su Yu for the favor of a woman. The atmosphere was not as warm as he had imagined. Li Konghui was slightly disappointed, but when he turned his head to look, he was infuriated. Chen Shui'er did not even look at the battlefield. Instead, she stood beside her parents and stared at Su Yu's silhouette in a daze. Su Yu, filled with rage, Li Konghui's attacks were ruthless. Each and every one of his moves were bold and unrestrained. There was no logic to his advance or retreat, and he lacked composure. It's just a spar, yet you're so ruthless. Let's go. Li Konghui's unintentional action had angered 20 level 9 upper-tier experts. Li Konghui did not have Su Yu's techniques, which could counter group attacks. It was already difficult for him to deal with so many people at the same time. After enraging the other party, he found himself in an even more precarious situation. Dong. After 2 hours, Li Konghui had only defeated 15 of the 20 people. Although he won, he reached the standard of 10 consecutive wins. However, there were many injuries on his body. His resolute face was swollen and bruised, and his clothes were torn. He was in a sorry state. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Li Konghui's battle was extremely forceful. And this was because there were no half-step holy kings among them. Otherwise, there was a high chance that they would be defeated. When Chen Shui'er saw this scene, she curled her lips. When she looked at the calm and composed Su Yu again, the admiration in her eyes deepened. Puff! Noticing Chen Shui'er's expression, Li Konghui felt like vomiting blood. He challenged 20 people to compete with Su Yu and to prove to Chen Shui'er that he could also challenge many people at the same time. He hoped that he could win back Chen Shui'er's heart. Who would have thought that he would become Su Yu's contrast? Chen Shui'er fell in love with him even more. After returning to the clan, you will reflect on your mistakes for half a year. Patriarch Li's face was gloomy. The reason why Su Yu could fight with ease was because he had mastered all the techniques he had learned. Moreover, his techniques had the effect of restraining group attacks. Firstly, Li Konghui did not have a brilliant movement technique, and secondly, he was not good at group attacks. Rashly going up on stage was simply embarrassing. It would also cause the Li family to lose face. Fortunately, in the eyes of outsiders, Su Yu was still considered a member of the Li family. Hence, the way they looked at the Li family was somewhat reserved. Patriarch Li sighed. It was ironic that they needed an outsider like Su Yu to maintain their reputation. Following that, Shi Rulin continued to instruct several strong martial artists to go up on stage. Wu Pangyun, Lu Guang, and a beautiful and elegant 18-year-old girl were all first-level holy kings. As if provoked by Su Yu, they all chose to challenge multiple people at the same time. The Battle of the Holy Kings was an eye-opener. Among them, the beautiful girl seemed to have broken through to Holy King not long ago. In addition, she was not good at group attacks. She only defeated 55 people in 2 hours. Combined with the elixir she had obtained earlier, she obtained 112 points. Although Lu Guang had also just broken through to first-level Holy King, he came from the harsh environment of Shenyue Island. He had great potential and defeated 60 people. Combined with the elixir he had obtained, he obtained 122 points. The most astonishing was Wu Pangyun. Although he was also a first-level Holy King, the beautiful girl and Lu Guang could not compare to him. He defeated 70 people alone. Combined with the elixir he had obtained, he obtained a total of 142 points. Wu Pangyun had become the most dazzling existence. As expected of the Wu family, ranked third among the 100 vassal clans. Wu Pangyun's talent is extremely rare. That Lu Guang from the uncivilized island is also extraordinary. People who trained in such a barren land have extraordinary potential. Princess Yun Yin should not be underestimated. At the mention of Princess Yun Yin, many young people secretly glanced at her. Their eyes were filled with shock and admiration. Princess Yunyan, 18 years old, was in the prime of her youth. She had a slim figure with exquisite curves. She wore a white dress that was spotless. It wrapped around her beautiful body, but could not hide the fullness of her chest. Her slender waist could not be held. She was lovely, giving people the urge to embrace her. Her jade-like face revealed a soul-stirring beauty. Her skin was as white as snow. Under the clear light, it reflected a faint fluorescence. Her pair of bright eyes were like a clear mountain spring, clear and tranquil, untainted by dust. Her lips were red and her teeth were jade. Her face was flawless. At this moment, she stood there quietly. Time and space seemed to have quietened down for her. Elegant and noble, otherworldly and detached. The youths were dazed and lost, unable to extricate themselves from her infatuation. But after being reminded, they immediately retracted their gazes, trembling. Princess Yunyan was the fiancée of a prince from the local empire. This prince was a cultivation genius. Last year, he had successfully entered the inner sanctum. His abilities were frightening. If anyone had designs on Princess Yunyan, one could only imagine what kind of retaliation they would face. Suyu heard the discussion and could not help but look at Princess Yunyan curiously. She was quiet and elegant, otherworldly and aesthetically pleasing. In that instant, Suyu had the illusion that he was looking at Xia Jingyu. But after a moment, he shook his head lightly and calmly retracted his gaze. Even though they looked alike, it was difficult to replace Xia Jingyu's position in his heart. Princess Yin was also observing Suyu. Naturally, she would pay attention to a talented 14-year-old boy who had shocked everyone with his skills. Suyu's clear eyes made Princess Yunyan, who had endured the covert gazes of countless men, feel a slight liking for him. Her lips pursed into a smile that could topple a city. The individual challenges have ended. Next, the top 100 ranking competition. Rules. The person with the lowest score will challenge the person with the highest score. If he wins, he will receive 1/3 of the challenge points. If he loses, he will also give 1/3 of his points to the challenged. If it is a draw, the challenger will give 1/4 of his points to the challenged. After this battle, the total score will be tabulated. From now on, the person with the lowest score will challenge the person with the highest score. Many people had only 1 or 2 points. After some discussion, they nominated one person to begin the challenge. From the lowest to the highest score, the winner would continue to challenge the person with the highest score. If he lost, the person with the highest score would challenge the person with the highest score, Wu Pangyan. The entire process lasted for a long time. Finally, it was the half-holy king's turn. Chen Shuer challenged Li Konghui, who had a higher score than her. With a smile, Chen Shuer's 2 dimples appeared on her face. Brother Konghui, can you let me win? Looking at the pitiful Chen Shuer, Li Konghui's heart was moved. Just as he was hesitating, he heard Chen Shuer's whisper, "If I admit defeat to Brother Suyu later, will he be grateful to me?" These words enraged Li Konghui. Shuer, sparring is heartless. Furthermore, the elders are watching. If I go easy, I might be reprimanded. Chen Shuer pouted, her face full of displeasure as she made her move. Even if you win against me, won't you still lose to Brother Suyu? Li Konghui was enraged, forgetting his limits. Rumble. After just 3 moves, Chen Shuer was not aware of her opponent's heavy hand and was struck in the shoulder. She groaned in defeat. With blood at the corner of her mouth, Chen Shuer's eyes were filled with grievance. Her watery eyes were filled with tears as she turned and ran away, leaving behind an angry voice. "I hate you." By the time Li Konghui regained his senses, it was already too late. This time, he and Chen Shuer had no chance. "Next, you will challenge the higher level," Shi Ruolin calmly announced. Li Konghui's gaze swept across the crowd. Before him, there were still a few half-holy kings. His gaze swept past them and landed on Suyu. "Can I jump to challenge someone of a higher level?" Li Konghui clenched his teeth. Shi Ruolin followed his gaze and glanced at Suyu, coldly nodding. "Yes, that's great. I challenge Suyu." Li Konghui was elated. In terms of individual combat ability, Li Konghui was confident that he would not lose to Su Yu. Su Yu stepped forward. Shi Ruolin calmly said. Whoosh! The two of them flew to the center of the arena and faced each other. Su Yu, die! Li Konghui let out a low roar and attacked. Su Yu was at a loss. Where did Li Konghui's hatred come from? Feeling the strong wind, Su Yu did not dare underestimate him. Piercing the long river, Li Konghui chased after him. A top-class deity-level cultivation technique was displayed. His palms drew a circle in the air, a strong energy swirling within. The piercingly cold energy field sucked in the surrounding sand and stones, fusing them into a whirlpool. Boom! Pushing his palms forward, the whirlpool of energy swept out with an unparalleled force. It was as if the energy had pierced through the long river, mighty and unstoppable. Su Yu's eyes were cold. How could he be so heavy-handed? Ice and thunder feast. Su Yu raised his finger, and a world-destroying divine light shot out. Poof! Although the energy whirlpool was strong, it was still no match for Su Yu's ice and thunder feast. Boom! With a loud noise, the whirlpool, which had been fused with countless gravel, suddenly exploded. The gravel within shot out in all directions. Li Konghui, who was close by, was caught off guard and was hit by the rain-like gravel. Ah! Pooh! Li Konghui spat out blood as he flew backward. However, this was not the end of the attack. The remaining light from the ice and thunder feast destroyed Li Konghui's chest. With Li Konghui's defenseless state, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. Not good. Su Yu's expression changed. His figure flickered as he grabbed a few gravel fragments and shot them out, extinguishing the remaining light. Whoosh! With a flash, Su Yu grabbed Li Konghui, who was about to fall to the ground. The younger generation of the Li family was not friendly to him. But if Li Guang were no, he would not want his younger generation to be severely injured by Su Yu. Master Li's face was filled with relief and gratitude. However, at this moment, a scene that no one could have imagined occurred. Li Konghui's eyes turned serious. While Su Yu was holding him back, he struck his palm toward his head. This palm was fast and ruthless, coupled with the fact that it was a sneak attack. Not to mention Su Yu, even a holy king would find it hard to defend against it. Die! Li Konghui had lost all reason, his mind filled with rage. Evil creature! Master Li's expression froze, his eyes filled with rage. Li Konghui actually repaid kindness with enmity, taking the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Everyone gasped. No one had expected Li Konghui to launch a sneak attack at such a crucial moment. But the distance was too great, no one could save him. But Su Yu, who was facing this palm, had an icy expression. Chapter 105. Infernal Demon Pupils. Su Yu shouted coldly. His eyes shot out a ray of black light straight into Li Konghui's mind. Ah! Li Konghui clutched his head and screamed as he fell to the ground, rolling around in pain. To ambush Su Yu at such a close distance, especially from the front, he really did not know how to spell the word death. Infernal Demon Pupils was practiced to the point that it was easy to injure someone's soul with just a thought. Master Li walked over with a gloomy expression, raising his leg and kicking Li Konghui's abdomen. With a scream, Li Konghui rolled on the ground and fainted on the spot. Master Li cupped his fists at Su Yu, looking ashamed. I have not taught my family well. It is my fault. I am fine, no worries. Su Yu waved his hand, his expression calm. Master Li's expression was ugly as he brought Li Konghui away. Feeling the strange gazes from the crowd, he felt humiliated. Even the juniors of the family who worshipped Li Konghui felt their faces burning with shame. Li Konghui's actions had brought shame to the family. Su Yu had won this battle. Just as Su Yu was about to challenge Lu Guang, Shi Ruolin announced, Su Yu wins. He has obtained a third of Li Konghui's points and 5 points, a total of 120 points. Next, Li Konghui will continue to challenge those above him. Su Yu did not have the right to challenge. Under normal circumstances, he would have to challenge those with lower scores. Lu Guang glanced at Su Yu, his lips curving into a mocking smile. You want to die? Suyu's expression was calm as he calmly replied, I'll repeat what I told you before. Those who wanted me dead are all dead, and I'm the only one still alive. During the battle at the Forbidden Grounds, Lu Guang had thought highly of himself and suffered a crushing defeat. Suyu had once said the same thing to Lu Guang. Now a similar scene was playing out once again. Suyu! Lu Guang was furious. Losing the battle of the century was a disgrace to him. Do you still think I am the Lu Guang of the past? As someone with a yellow class constitution who has broken through to the Holy King realm, you would never understand. With a faint smile, Suyu did not comment as he quietly watched the battle. Pretending to be calm. When Princess Yun Yin challenges you, that will be the day you reveal your true colors. A useless spirit body dares to try and compete with us. Lu Guang snorted coldly. The battle between half-step Holy Kings was getting more and more exciting. Becoming a half-step Holy King was due to the small amount of spiritual qi that one's body had absorbed. Even though it was weak and only contained a few strands of spiritual energy, when infused into the martial art, its might would increase by 30%. So you could not help but feel envious. If a half-Holy King was like this, then what about a real Holy King? Shua. Beside him, Princess Yun Yin floated down to the battlefield. Her figure was graceful, elegant, and noble. She faced the challenger, the strongest half-Holy King, in a demure manner. Princess Yin Yin, please. The half-Holy King's eyes were filled with deep reverence. Princess Yun Yin's expression was calm as she pointed her jade-like finger in the air. A wisp of spiritual energy emerged from his finger. Qila, the spiritual qi, which contained a terrifying amount of energy, pierced through the void and shot toward the half-step Holy King. Roaring tiger mountains and rivers. The half-Holy King's expression suddenly turned serious. He opened his mouth and sucked in a deep breath. The sound wave swept out, shattered the mountains and rivers, and was so deafening that even the deaf could hear. Along the way, gravel and dust flew everywhere. Countless rocks could not withstand the sound wave and instantly shattered. The formless ripples contained a trace of weak spiritual energy and attacked the incoming spiritual energy. Thump! However, such a powerful sound wave was like a piece of paper in front of Princess Yun Yan's spiritual energy. The weak spiritual energy was far inferior to Princess Yun Yan's in terms of quantity and quality, and was instantly disintegrated. Fortunately, Princess Yun Yan had intentionally shot the spiritual energy to the side, and it only brushed past the half-Holy King. Even so, the remnant of the spiritual energy still tore the clothes on the half-Holy King's arm to shreds. It was as if he had been struck by lightning, and he spat out blood. If it had been a direct hit, wouldn't that attack have killed the half-Holy King with a flick of a finger? Suyu's gaze was serious. Strictly speaking, this was the first time he had seen a Holy King in action at such a close distance. Li Guang and Su Rong had not made any serious moves. Shi Ruolan's cultivation level was too high, and it was difficult to accurately measure the difference between a Holy King and a martial artist. Princess Yun Yin casually pointed at him, but Suyu knew what was going on. The terror of the spiritual energy was far beyond his expectations. Princess Yun Yin wins. She has obtained 1/3 of her opponent's points, a total of 150 points. Please challenge the next person. Lu Guang had a playful expression. Suyu, I look forward to your performance. Lu Guang, step forward. Princess Yun Yin was elegant and dignified, lightly pointing her finger. Lu Guang's expression stiffened, pointing at Suyu. In terms of ranking, Princess Yun Yin should have challenged him first. I do not like to bully the weak. A battle between you and me is more fair. Princess Yun Yin shook her head. After a moment of shock, Lu Guang was disappointed, nodding his head stiffly. All right, you and I will fight. He stood up and took a step forward. Before he left, he coldly said to Suyu, Count yourself lucky. Princess Yin Yin, please be careful. Lu Guang's expression was serious. Claw of the divine eagle. 5 fingers glowed faintly, like the claw of an eagle from the 9 heavens, tearing apart mountains and rivers. A wisp of spiritual energy surrounded the claw, giving off an oppressive feeling. Su Yu's expression turned serious. The spiritual energy was indeed terrifying. The same claw of the divine eagle, when used by a holy king, was not something a martial artist could compare to. Creak! Lu Guang's figure was as fast as light, flying towards Su Yu. With one claw, 5 afterimages appeared, as if they had descended from the 9 heavens. They were as fast as lightning, shaking the air. 5 explosions overlapped. The power of the sound waves was ear-piercing, no less than the full power of the half-holy king's sound wave technique. Countless juniors watching the battle felt their hearts tighten, feeling the endless pressure. This was the power of the Holy King realm. Although Princess Yunyan's gaze was serious, her demeanor and actions were still elegant. A storm is coming. Princess Yunyan's white dress fluttered in the wind. Her fair, jade-like palm moved gracefully in front of her chest. Whoosh whoosh, a cool breeze appeared out of thin air, surrounding her delicate body. She cultivated a wind-based cultivation technique, allowing her to control the wind of heaven and earth. As her jade-like hand moved, the wind grew stronger. Countless water vapor gathered around her, forming a thin layer of mist. This technique was like the overturning of the clouds and rain. Creak! Her jade-like hand moved gracefully. The strong wind swept up the water vapor, forming a sharp blade. After fusing with spiritual energy, it was like a divine weapon, capable of cutting through anything. The blade of wind and rain pierced through the air, colliding with the claw of the divine eagle. Boom! The powerful claw of the divine eagle actually showed signs of collapsing. His figure paused for a moment, but Lu Guang continued forward. Princess Yunyan dealt with it gracefully, skillfully, and with ease. Light and shadow crisscrossed, rumbling incessantly. The overall abilities of the two were equally matched, and it was difficult to determine the victor. The exciting battle between the Holy Kings was an eye-opener for countless juniors. Such a battle was far beyond the level of a martial artist. Spiritual energy determined the insurmountable gap between a martial artist and a holy king. But as time passed, the subtle differences between the two were finally revealed. Princess Yunyan's physical strength gradually weakened. On the other hand, Lu Guang was still full of energy, attacking and defending well, rich in experience. Not long after, Princess Yunyan was finally at a disadvantage. Her defeat was only a matter of time. 100 moves have passed. According to the rules, Lu Guang wins. He has obtained 1/3 of Princess Yunyan's points, a total of 170 points. Now he will challenge the last person, Wu Pangyun, Shi Rulin announced. The crowd was slightly startled. Shouldn't Su Yu, the one with the lowest score, continue to challenge the one with the highest score? Why should Lu Guang challenge Wu Pangyun? Shi Rulin calmly explained. The final winner will challenge the last person, Su Yu, without harming the fairness of the competition. The crowd nodded in understanding. Shua, Wu Pangyun flew to the center of the battlefield and sized up flowing light. His sinister eyes were filled with faint admiration. Not bad. Lu Guang was indignant. Make your move. Do you want me to let you make 1 or 2 moves first? Wu Pangyun said calmly. No need. I want to see how big the difference is between a lower first-level Saint King and an advanced first-level Saint King. Similar to the 9 heavens of the martial way, Saint Kings were also divided into initial success, advanced success, and peak stage. Wu Pangyun was a first-level upper-tier Holy King, 1 level higher than Lu Guang. Disparity? Lu Guang smiled darkly. The disparity is that in front of me, you can't even withstand a single blow. Liu Guang was ashamed and angry at such belittlement. That might not be the case. Godly Eagle Claw, Lu Guang channeled all his spiritual energy into the Godly Eagle Claw. The Eagle Claw that could tear apart mountains and rivers was terrifyingly powerful. Chila, in the blink of an eye, the stream of light attacked Wu Pangyun. The terrifying blow was about to pierce through Wu Pangyun's body. Countless juniors watching the battle felt their hearts leap to their throats. However, Wu Pangyun still had a faint smile on his face. The gap between the Saint King realms is far greater than the gap between the realms of martial arts. A small realm is also the difference between heaven and earth. Take my attack first. Lu Guang bellowed and attacked with all his might. Wu Pangyun shook his head mockingly. There's no need to make a move against you. One finger is enough. In the face of such a terrifying divine eagle claw, Wu Pangyun only stretched out a single finger. However, a chi that far surpassed flowing light twined around his finger. He tapped lightly on the divine eagle claw, and a scene that made everyone gasp appeared. Puff! The flowing light, godly eagle claw suddenly collapsed, and a destructive force was transmitted from the claw to the arm. Rub, rub, rub. Lu Guang took a few steps back. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were filled with shock. The difference between a lower first-level Saint King and an advanced first-level Saint King was so huge. In fact, he didn't even have the qualifications to force his opponent to make a move. Everyone stared at Wu Pangyun's invincible posture in shock. He was so terrifyingly powerful. Among the younger generation present, who could be a match for him? Wu Pangyun wins, obtaining 1/3 of his opponent's points, a total of 200 points. Next battle. Challenge the last person, Su Yu. Shi Ruolin calmly said. Wu Pangyun's gaze turned and landed on Su Yu. His sinister gaze blossomed with coldness. Kid, looks like your luck has left you. During the fight for the elixirs, Su Yu had 6 low-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs in his hand. Wu Pangyun was about to snatch them, but Su Yu was lucky enough to wait until the fight was over. However, I'm not interested in winning against a small fry. I'll give you 3 moves. Hurry up and make your move. Wu Pangyun lacked interest and was slightly impatient. This time around, he was fully deserving of being the king. He could obtain 5 low-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs, and most importantly, he could enter the depository of scriptures and come into contact with the rumored legacy level cultivation technique. Unexpectedly, Su Yu flew to the center of the arena and calmly smiled. Give me 3 moves? Why would I need to give you 3 moves when I can deal with you with one hand? Su Yu disliked Wu Pangyun's overbearing and ruthless character and did not hide his disgust in his words. These words shocked everyone present. Wu Pangyun was fully deserving of being the strongest in the assessment. Su Yu had actually declared that he could deal with him with one hand. If Su Yu was a first-level lower-tier Holy King, perhaps he would have had something to rely on for saying such words. However, a martial artist who had not even reached half Holy King had actually declared that he could deal with a first-level upper-tier Holy King with one hand. Chapter 106. The whole place was silent for a moment before it exploded. What does this Li clan brat get his confidence from? How is it possible for a martial artist to challenge a Holy King? The elders were incredulous. The juniors were excited. Su Yu is so powerful that he can challenge a Holy King single-handedly? Is he really just a martial artist like us? Princess Yin Yan's beautiful eyes flickered with curiosity as she stared at him elegantly. Lu Guang was stunned for a moment. Then his lips curled into a mocking smile. Frog at the bottom of a well. The prestige of the Holy King is not something a non-martial artist can challenge. The most shocked person was Wu Pangyun. After being stunned for a moment, his face gradually turned cold. Dealing with me with only one hand? What arrogance! A vicious look flashed across Wu Pangyun's face. Let me see where your arrogance comes from. Whoosh! With a flash of light and shadow, Wu Pangyun disappeared. When he appeared again, he was within 10 feet of Su Yu. A finger surrounded by frightening spiritual energy pointed at Su Yu's chest. Destroy! Pa! His fingers shuttled back and forth, leaving behind afterimages. By the time everyone realized what was going on, his finger had already touched Su Yu's chest. Hiss! Everyone was terrified. Wasn't this finger going to severely injure or even kill Su Yu on the spot? Crackle! However, at that critical moment, Su Yu, the martial artist, did something that many people could not understand. He didn't dodge. Instead, he used his palm to block the attack. Such a terrifying amount of spiritual energy was enough to blast his palm into smithereens, permanently crippling him. Bang! However, the palm and the finger shadow intersected. The tragic scene of flesh and blood splattering in his imagination did not appear. Instead, a deafening roar shook the heavens. It was as if heavenly thunder had descended, shaking the entire sky. The earth trembled and the sky cried. Everyone was caught off guard, and their hearts twitched violently. With them, as the center, the berserk energy radiated in all directions. In an instant, smoke and dust surged, and waves of air surged like rainbows. It was like a magnificent army galloping over. When the dust settled and the world became clear, a shocking scene appeared. Suyu stood at his original position quietly. His silver hair and purple robe fluttered in the wind. He was safe and sound. On the other hand, Wu Pangyun, he retreated 5 steps, the sleeve of his right arm completely torn apart. Wisps of purple thunder flames continued to burn. His exposed arms were badly mutilated, especially his palms, which were charred black. His facial features were contorted due to the intense pain, but he couldn't hide it. His face was filled with shock. Legacy cultivation method. Wu Pangyun was extremely shocked. A legacy-level technique that could only be obtained in the Lucian faction had actually appeared in the hands of a martial artist like Suyu. Patriarch Li was shocked. How could it be a legacy cultivation technique? It was difficult to imagine that a junior from a barbaric island actually possessed a heaven-defying inherited cultivation technique. Princess Yunyan's red lips parted slightly. Her elegant face was filled with deep surprise. The mockery in Lu Guang's eyes froze and was gradually replaced by confusion, shock, and jealousy. That move is actually a legacy technique. In the past, Suyu had used this palm to launch a sneak attack on Su Rong. At that time, he was at the Flowing Light Realm and had yet to see the origin of the Purple Star Thunderbolt. Now that he heard Wu Pangyun's shock, he felt relieved. His previous defeat was not undeserved. It's a legacy cultivation technique that even I find difficult to obtain. He actually obtained it long ago on Shunyue Island. Lu Guang's heart was filled with jealousy. After entering the Lucian faction, he understood that even if he broke through to the Holy King realm, it would be extremely difficult for him to borrow and read the remnant volumes of legacy-level techniques. Like Yuan Hu, a 14-year-old second-level Holy King, he was barely qualified to borrow and read it under the recommendation of the faction elders. This was because to borrow and read a legacy-level technique, one needed to have contributed to the faction. Usually, only the senior disciples could do it. Shi Ruolin's gentle eyes slightly shrank. He actually possessed a legacy-level technique. Was it imparted by Li Guang? No, even the Lucian faction did not have such a technique. On the battlefield, Suyu's palm gently clenched and stretched again. A purple light flashed. A purple lotus flower, quiet and beautiful, charming all living things. It rotated slightly in his palm, like a beauty that could topple cities. Traces of destructive thunder flames were contained within. He raised his eyes and glanced at Wu Pangyun. I said, I only need one hand to deal with you. Purple Star Thunderbolt. Whoosh! Suyu flashed and took the initiative to attack. Wu Pangyun's expression changed greatly. Where was his arrogant demeanor from before? Moon-splitting palm. Deity-level cultivation technique top class. His entire body's spiritual energy was crazily infused into it. The palm wind was swift and fierce, infused with spiritual energy, its power skyrocketing. The shadow of the palm was like thunder, its momentum impressive, wrapped with the power to destroy the stars and moon. Not only did Wu Pangyun attack, he attacked with all his might. Pow! A deafening roar shook the heavens. The ultimate collision of legacy-level technique and the full power of a holy king. So he took a few steps back, his palms stinging. Wu Pangyun also took a few steps back, his palms unbearably hot. The battle between the two was evenly matched. Although the legacy-level technique is strong, the user has yet to become a holy king, so its power is mediocre. The crowd silently nodded. The power of the legacy-level technique was definitely not limited to this. Under normal circumstances, a holy king with a legacy-level technique will be able to defeat a holy king without a legacy-level technique. Again, Wu Pangyun was anxious for the first time. The depository of scriptures was right in front of him. Perhaps it was about to slip away. Boom! Su Yu calmly attacked, battling with Wu Pangyun. The sound that shook the heavens was incessant, until the crowd became numb. It was hard to tell who was better in the battle between the two. After 100 moves, there was still no clear winner. After 100 moves, the two are evenly matched, so it's a draw. The challenged gets a quarter of the challenger's points. Wu Pangyun had a total of 200 points. Su Yu had a total of 120 points. With a quarter of Wu Pangyun's points, he had a total of 170 points. As for Wu Pangyun, he was left with 150 points. Su Yu's points were slightly higher than his opponent's by 20 points. In the individual competition, the highest scorer is Su Yu. The rewards are as follows: 5 low-grade marrow cleansing elixirs, an exception to enter the depository of scriptures. Master Li's expression was cold as he secretly sighed. Li Guang, you have indeed taken in an amazing disciple. Su Yu had amazed the world with a single brilliant feat, establishing his title as the king of the assessment. Possessing a legacy-level technique and successfully cultivating it, it was enough to show that Su Yu's perception was nature-defying. After all, just comprehending the legacy-level technique alone would require 5 years for a talented person. Usually, you started to gain enlightenment at the age of 13. Su Yu was only 14 years old, yet he had succeeded in comprehending the legacy-level technique within a year. His perception was terrifying. The 100 vassal clans were secretly envious. If such an outstanding person could be taken in by the clan and nurtured, he would definitely become a strong backing for the clan in the future. Master Li, how have you been? A dark-faced man politely walked in front of Master Li and chatted with him. The Li family is extraordinary to have produced such an outstanding person. Congratulations. Another green-robed elder appeared. Soon after, several elders came to chat, intentionally or unintentionally. Master Li was a little overwhelmed by the enthusiasm of the crowd. He smiled bitterly in his heart. Many of them were from the top 10 families. In the past, they had never bothered to make friends with the Li family. Now, in order to inquire about Su Yu, they had condescended to understand the situation. Among them, Master Chun was the most eager and direct. Master Li, is Su Yu betrothed? To tell you the truth, my daughter's heart belongs to him. I hope Master Li can grant her wish. The elders secretly cursed the old fox for using his precious daughter to bind Su Yu. Not only did he obtain a heaven ruler, he also conveniently obtained a legacy-level technique. One must know that none of the 100 vassal clans possessed this legacy-level technique. But they were helpless. Chun Shui was beautiful and was the flower of the 100 vassal clans. In addition, the Chun family was not weak. Master Li thought for a moment. Su Yu's influence was weak. Could he use this opportunity to marry Su Yu into the Chun family? Thank you for your love, but I am already betrothed. Su Yu hurried over, cupping his fists in respect. Betrothed? Master Chun felt it was a pity. If such an outstanding person had been discovered, he would have been roped in long ago. Why would he wait for them? Disappointed, he returned to console Chun Shui. Chun Shui. Er's body trembled as she cried. As the news spread, many young ladies who were secretly in love with Su Yu felt sad. If possible, I hope that you can take care of the Li family's juniors for Li Guang's sake. Master Li pleaded in shame. 3 of the juniors of the Li family had passed the test and could enter the outer sanctum. Su Yu nodded. Sure. Master Li was overjoyed, pushing the 3 juniors forward. Su Yu had some impression of the 3 juniors. Their attitudes towards him were not friendly. Greetings, Senior Su Yu. At this moment, the 3 juniors were nervous in front of Su Yu. When they faced Su Yu, it was as if they were facing an unreachable elder. They could barely breathe and were extremely obedient. Su Yu nodded. In the future, as disciples of the faction, we will help each other. Thank you, Senior Su Yu. The three juniors were elated. With such a strong martial artist taking care of them in the future, their lives in the outer sanctum would be much better. Thinking back to the past, the three juniors felt ashamed. Their faces were red as they bowed. Sorry, Senior Suyu, in the past. It's fine, follow me. The faction is about to arrange the matters after the test. Suyu waved his hands, returning to the center of the battlefield. Out of 100 disciples, 50 had been eliminated. Only 50 had passed. The cruelty of the test was evident. After passing the test, they would settle down in the faction and train in peace. Suyu clenched his fists. After entering the Lucian faction, he would make use of all the resources and train hard, until the day he could take Hanji and Shi Rulin's heads and deliver them to Li Guang's grave. The third round of the test, the final test, begins. But what shocked the crowd was that Shi Rulin calmly announced the third round of the test. Isn't the test over? Why? Countless elders felt that it was absurd. The test was already inexplicable, and now there was a third round of the test. In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. Shi Rulin was expressionless. The faction master has decided. If you have any objections, you could discuss it with the faction master. If you have no objections, quietly listen to what I have to say. The crowd was silent. Su Yu and the other disciples who had passed the test were deeply surprised. Why was there another final test? The final test, practical test. Shi Rulin calmly said. The coastal city has been harassed by pirates. Your test is to annihilate them all. Wu Pongyun's expression was calm. May I ask, which pirate group is it? Pirates ran amok in the vast sea. There were countless small and large groups of pirates. Sea Wolves pirates, Shi Rulin calmly announced. What? Is the Lucian faction crazio? An elder was furious, but immediately realized he had lost his composure and immediately shut his mouth. However, many of the elders simultaneously revealed expressions of righteous indignation. Su Yu's heart trembled. Could the Sea Wolves pirates be extraordinary? It's them. Wu Pongyun's pupils shrank, his face filled with fear. The Sea Wolves pirates whose weakest member is a half-holy king and the strongest is a second-level holy king? Clan Master Shi, may I ask, is the Sea Wolves pirate you mentioned just the same name as what I said? Shi Rulin calmly shook her head. It is the Sea Wolves pirates. Your test is to annihilate them all and leave no one alive. If you do not achieve your goal, everyone will be eliminated. Wu Pangyun was indignant. This is simply too much. With our holy king abilities, including Su Yu, there are only 4 of us. But the Sea Wolves pirates have more than 100 half-holy kings. More than 10 first-level lower-tier holy kings. 2 upper-tier holy kings. And 1 peak holy king. Furthermore, the mysterious pirate leader is said to have the strength of a second-level holy king. If the 4 of us go, wouldn't we be courting death? Even if several second-level holy kings join forces against the Sea Wolf pirates, they might not be able to annihilate them all. How was this a test? It was clearly a disguised form of elimination. Although Shi Rulin's voice was gentle, it did not allow for dissent. You have 2 choices. First, accept the test. Second, be eliminated now. Her gaze lightly glanced at Su Yu. If you are afraid of death, you can choose not to come. His gaze swept past Su Yu with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Su Yu's heart trembled. Was this a deliberate obstacle for him? Shi Rulin obstructed Su Yu from entering the Lucian faction in order to cut off his future and deprive him of space to grow. Such an action had instead made Su Yu rebellious. He had risen from humble beginnings. What kind of desperate situation had he not encountered? Back when he was only a level 5, he had dared to break into the evil forest and confront the level 9 Slayer King. Now, what was there to be afraid of? Why wouldn't I agree? So you accept the test. Suyu took a step forward, his eyes calm. It was an impossible task, but Suyu had to give it a try. Nirvana in a desperate situation. Rise up from humble beginnings. Suyu had been like this all along. Chapter 107. What a madman! Wu Pangyun shouted coldly. Despite knowing how terrifying the Sea Wolf pirates were, they still chose to do so. Other than a madman, no one would do that. But deep down, Wu Pangyun was ashamed and angry. Su Yu's awe-inspiring fearlessness brought out the timidity in his heart. Lu Guang clenched his teeth and stared at Su Yu. He felt that Su Yu was an eyesore. Princess Yin Yin was moved for the first time. She did not understand what was more important to Su Yu than his life, to the point that he would not hesitate to do so. Even Master Li, who understood Su Yu's intentions, could not help but tremble. His eyes became moist. Li Guang, with such a disciple, what else can you ask for in this life? For the kindness of the past, for killing the enemy with his own hands, for the oath he made in front of the corpse. To think that Su Yu was so despicable. Even though he knew he was going to die, he still wanted to fight to the death. Shi Ruolin's delicate body trembled slightly. Her ears seemed to reverberate with the desolate and indignant oath that came from the Li family that day. Su Yu's determination to face thousands of people and his killing intent, which he would not regret even if he died, merged with Su Yu's determination, causing Shi Ruolin's heart to tremble for the first time. A trace of panic spread through his heart. She had a feeling that she would die at Su Yu's hands one day. Have the rest of you decided? Shi Ruolin restrained her inner emotions and asked calmly, accept the assessment or be eliminated. Several elders rushed over and brought back the younger generation of the clan. They were indignant. We hope that the clan's younger generation can enter the sect to further their studies and not seek their own destruction. Are you not afraid of disappointing the 100 vassal clans with your actions? Shi Ruolin said lightly, I can take them back, but they will lose their qualification for the assessment forever. You are going too far. The elders present were unable to contain their anger. Didn't this mean that they could either accept the test of certain death or be rejected at the door forever? Wu Pingyun, Lu Guang, and Princess Yun Yan's faces turned solemn and their hearts trembled. I'll give you one last chance to choose. Either you accept the assessment, or you'll be shut out for eternity. Shi Ruolin calmly asked. The 100 vassal clans were both shocked and furious. This type of examination was just too bloody and cruel. What was going on with this year's recruitment test? Why was it so strange? Everyone hesitated for a long time. Many of the elders handed the decision to the younger generation. Take a risk or live an ordinary life. Decide for yourself. After weighing the options, many juniors chose the latter. This mission clearly had no chance of survival. Only a small half of them, including holy kings and half-holy kings, chose to give it a try. Pangyun, Lu Guang, Wu Pangyun, Lu Guang, and Princess Yun Yin all looked solemn. They had no choice but to participate. Only Su Yu remained calm. Shi Ruolin nodded. Very well. Now I will announce the rules and rewards to the 25 of you. The assessment this time is to annihilate pirates. Killing a half-step holy king would earn 1 point. Killing a half-king gets upper king, 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 king. 30 points for killing a peak expert. Lastly, the pirate leader is a second-level lower-tier Saint King. If you can kill him, you'll get 50 points. You, Wang Yu pirates. King, Yun, Yin Yu Shi, He Yun Su Yu Yu dragon is. Yu Yu I, Yu 1 Yu Yu Shi. This is what I'm going to say next, your reward. Shi Ruolin said calmly. Those who obtain a total of more than 100 points will receive the following rewards. First, a medium-grade marrow cleansing pill. Second, a day of personal guidance from an elder of the sect. Third, becoming an inner disciple. The expressions of the seniors who were leaving with their disciples changed drastically. What? Are the rewards that scary? A middle-grade marrow cleansing pill was equivalent to 100 low-grade marrow cleansing pills. Few of the 100 vassal races could afford such a pill. On the other hand, the personal guidance of a sect elder was enough for the 100 vassal races to fight for it, not to mention how many benefits they could obtain from the guidance. Just the slight relationship they could form with the sect elder was enough for the 100 vassal races to fight for it. The most shocking was the third reward. Directly become an inner disciple. Of the 100 vassal clans, out of 1,000 disciples, no more than 3 would be able to enter the inner sect every 5 years. There wasn't even a single inner disciple in this assessment. In the Lucian faction, The difference between the outer sanctum and the inner sanctum was that the outer sanctum disciples were responsible for all the chores of the faction, and everything they did was to serve the inner sanctum disciples. The resources they received were very little, and it was hard for them to make a name for themselves. Usually, cultivating a second-level holy king was the limit. The inner sanctum gathered all the high-quality resources of the faction, and with the guidance and lessons of famous teachers, even a pig could achieve something. Generations of the 100 vassal clans had difficulty entering the inner sanctum. The Li family was ranked 30th, but throughout the generations of the Li family, only Li Guang had barely managed to enter the inner sanctum. Now, an assessment could directly determine one's status in the inner sanctum. If one could enter the inner sanctum, it would determine the fate of one's entire life and the fate of one's family. Also, according to our information, after the Sea Wolves pirates plundered a city, they are currently looking for new targets. The possibility of them gathering together is not high. So how many points you can obtain within a month and whether you can enter the inner sanctum depends on your own ability. After a month, report to the External Affairs Division. Shi Rulin stood up and was about to leave. You have a day to prepare. Tomorrow, someone from the faction will bring you to the place where the Sea Wolves pirates are. After she left, the crowd had a question. Even though the rewards were plentiful, if a disciple obtained 100 points, he could enter the inner sanctum. But what if the Sea Wolves pirates were not completely wiped out? Would they still be eliminated? If that was the case, they would never be able to avoid the frightening holy king pirates. Su Yu's eyes were filled with determination. Even if it was difficult, he had to try. In the second round of assessment, Su Yu had the highest points, receiving 5 low-grade marrow cleansing elixirs and the right to enter the depository of scriptures. Adding the 6 elixirs he had obtained previously, he had a total of 11 low-grade marrow cleansing elixirs. Half a day later, the envoy activated the protective barrier and brought the remaining 25 people into the Lucian faction, settling them in the outer sanctum. You are Su Yu? Follow me. I will bring you to the depository of scriptures. The envoy's gaze fell on Su Yu. Amidst the crowd's envy, Su Yu followed. The depository of scriptures was heavily guarded. After many rounds of inspection, Su Yu was finally able to enter. May I ask what level of techniques I can read? At the entrance, a slender lady in her 30s was immersed in an ancient book. Her willowy waist made her look like a delicate willow tree. Her slender figure looked frail. Amidst the cool breeze, she looked lovable. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, gently falling in front of her chest, but could not hide her beautiful twin peaks. As she was lowering her head, her collar was slightly open, allowing Su Yu to catch a glimpse of it. It was plump and smooth, like a ripe peach, making one's blood boil. With a tinge of apology, Su Yu's eyes were clear as he averted his gaze. Hearing this, the lady looked up. Su Yu was shocked. The lady's figure was beautiful, but her face had suffered the pain of being disfigured. It was as if her face had suffered some kind of sinister power. Her beautiful face was ruined, charred black, hideous, and frightening. If not for Su Yu's extraordinary willpower, he would have screamed in shock. Such a face was no different from a ghost. If it was at night, it would definitely scare someone to death. Was this another lady who had suffered from revenge? Su Yu felt sympathy. In his previous life, he had met many similar women who had suffered from sulfuric acid as revenge, their lives ruined. With a tinge of sympathy in his eyes, Su Yu nodded apologetically. Lady, sorry to bother you, but what kind of books can I read? If you have the ability, feel free to flip through them. The lady's temper was unusually bad. Seeing the sympathy in Su Yu's eyes, she cut him off and berated him. Su Yu curled his lips. He knew that a disfigured lady was temperamental, so he did not mind. Filled with doubt, the moment Su Yu stepped in, he felt as if he was being crushed by a mountain. Creak! Su Yu staggered, his legs turning to jelly, almost falling to the ground. With a grunt, he stopped himself with difficulty, his legs swaying as he tried to support himself. He was shocked. Was there some kind of gravitational spell in the depository of scriptures? Forcefully stabilizing himself, Suyu observed and realized that there was only one level to the depository of scriptures. Suyu stood at the outermost layer. A row of bookshelves extended from the entrance to the deepest part of the depository. The number of books decreased. Casually flipping through the cultivation techniques near the entrance, he found that they were all at least deity-level cultivation techniques. Among them, there were many who possessed peerless power that was not inferior to the heart of icecraft. Looking around, there were thousands of deity-level cultivation techniques. As expected of the Lucian faction, its wealth was frightening. So he was no longer interested in deity-level cultivation techniques, moving deeper with difficulty. With every step he took, the pressure became heavier. Halfway there, Suyu grunted, almost vomiting blood. His organs were shaken, the pain unbearable, and he had only entered a quarter of the way. His endurance had reached its limit. Luckily, Suyu could faintly see the remnant volumes of a few unique techniques, all of them damaged to varying degrees. That was the Lucian faction, the rumored remnant volume of a legacy-level cultivation technique. Creak! Suyu moved his feet with difficulty, finally reaching the vicinity. Puff! But he could not hold it in any longer, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His organs were shaken. He had suffered light injuries. At that moment, even moving a finger was difficult. His knees were trembling violently, about to collapse. He had to quickly take the cultivation technique and leave this place. Suddenly, Suyu saw the 1,000-thread mantra. Before Li Guang died, he had repeatedly reminded him to read the remnant volume of a legacy-level cultivation technique. But just as Suyu was about to grab it, a remnant volume beside the 1,000-thread mantra caught his eye, along with a brief introduction. Glazed Ice Flame, an ice-based legacy-level cultivation technique. The last level had been destroyed, leaving only the first and second levels. After cultivating this cultivation technique, one could condense the glazed ice energy. The glazed ice energy was extremely cold, unstoppable. Once cultivated, its power would be superior to normal legacy-level cultivation techniques, only below immortal-level cultivation techniques. But the difficulty of learning it was extremely high. Those with exceptional perception could achieve lower tier in 10 years, upper tier in 50 years, and top tier in 100 years. Even those with exceptional perception would need 5 years to achieve lower tier, 20 years to upper tier, and 50 years to top tier. Those who chose this technique should not bite off more than they could chew. Even though it was powerful, the difficulty of learning it was far greater than normal legacy-level cultivation techniques. Suyu's pupils dilated. Icy Heart Core was cultivated to its peak, but its power could not keep up with the enemies it faced. This legacy-level cultivation technique was ice-based, and it was extremely powerful, just right for him to cultivate. Chapter 108. Deity-level techniques may be read at will, but legacy-level techniques may only be read once at a time. Violators will be executed immediately. The ugly woman had never thought that Suyu would be able to find the legacy-level techniques, and now revealed her hidden requirements. Suyu was annoyed. When he had asked her before, she had told him that he could read to his heart's content. Only now did she tell him that legacy-level techniques were excluded. 1,000 Threads mantra could expand one's spirit energy when cultivated during the Holy King period. Glazed Ice Flame was extremely powerful and could increase one's combat power. Suyu pondered how to choose. Since you're about to break through to the Holy King realm, you should naturally choose 1,000 Threads mantra. Spirit energy is the foundation of a Holy King. A strong foundation can increase the power of any technique. Simply pursuing a powerful technique is neglecting the essentials. The ugly woman paused for a moment before coldly shouting. Suyu thought for a moment before grabbing Glazed Ice Flame. What the ugly woman said was reasonable. Spirit energy was the foundation, and improving the foundation could increase one's overall strength. But everything had its priorities. 1,000 Threads mantra was only useful for Holy King level spirit energy. Suyu's current realm was not urgent, but he was about to go out to sea and fight the Holy King pirates. His life and death were uncertain. Every bit of strength he had to improve was an urgent matter. Hence, he chose glazed ice flame. Where did this disciple come from? I've already made it clear to you that the foundation is the key, but you are biting off more than you can chew. Rotten wood cannot be carved. The ugly woman reprimanded. So he was furious. His self-control was not bad, but he had been provoked by this woman 3 times. Even a clay figurine would have a fire under him. He replied unhappily, "None of your business." Without looking back, Su turned and left. The ugly woman glared at Su Yu's receding figure and pointed at the envoy. What is his name? Outer sanctum or inner sanctum? The envoy was already drenched in cold sweat. Hearing this, his legs turned to jelly and he knelt on the ground, carefully answering, "Second elder, he is Suyu, first place in this recruitment assessment." Suyu? Oomph. The ugly woman was one of the 10 great elders of the Lucian faction. She was also the second elder, who ranked near the top. Suyu did not know. He returned to the temporarily arranged room and swallowed a low-grade marrow cleansing elixir. One elixir allowed him to break through from level 9 upper tier to level 9 peak. How powerful would 11 pills be? Would he be able to break through to become a Saint King in one go? With anticipation in his heart, Suyu swallowed it on the spot. In the blink of an eye, it was the next morning. Suyu opened his eyes helplessly. He was slightly disappointed. He pointed his finger, and a tiny bit of spirit energy surrounded his fingertip. I was too naive. If it were so easy to break through to the Holy King level, Li Kongwei would not have remained a half-Holy King after so many years. Suyu laughed at himself. However, in the end, it was a whole 11 low-grade marrow-cleansing pills. The effect was shocking. Suyu had finally stepped into the realm of half-Holy King. Not only could he materialize his vital energy, but he could also condense a tiny bit of spiritual energy. Although the spiritual energy was weak, when infused into a martial art, it could increase its might by 30%. If he encounters Wu Pengyan again, I'm afraid it won't be so easy for him to get a draw. Suyu was full of confidence. As for the glazed ice flame, Suyu had been studying it for half a day. With the time acceleration of 200 times, it was equivalent to 3 whole months. However, what made Suyu dumbfounded was that he had only managed to comprehend a tiny bit of it. Back when he was comprehending the Purple Star Thunderbolt, it was not as exaggerated as this. The difficulty of comprehending the glazed ice flame was indeed beyond imagination. It was simply not a cultivation technique for humans. He just did not know if its power was as described, superior to normal legacy-level techniques. Looking at the time, Suyu got up and went to the entrance of the External Affairs Division. The 25 people were almost all present. Only Suyu was left. "You came so late. I thought you had enough of the limelight," and fled in fear. Lu Guang mocked, but his eyes were constantly sizing up Suyu. Wu Pengyan and many other half-holy kings had the same look in their eyes. They were all jealous and guessing what kind of legacy-level technique Suyu had obtained in the depository of scriptures. Suyu looked at Lu Guang indifferently. "If you feel that not being able to fight with me yesterday is a regret, I can grant you your wish now." Creak! The exquisite lotus quietly rotated in Suyu's palm. The destructive power made one's skin crawl. Lu Guang's face stiffened and he swallowed hard. How could he match up to a move that even Wu Pengyan was at a disadvantage? This is the faction. Private fights are prohibited. You better not be so arrogant. Lu Guang's words were tough, but he had already admitted defeat in his heart. The crowd secretly shook their heads. Why did he have to admit defeat so quickly? "Stop!" A middle-aged man with an unfathomable cultivation level grunted. Poof! The purple lotus in Suyu's palm disappeared into thin air. Glancing at Suyu, the middle-aged man expressionlessly took out 25 jade pendants. One for each person. Carry them with you at all times. The faction can track your whereabouts and provide emergency assistance. Wu Pengyan happily grabbed one. "Thank you, Clan Master Qin." "Oh, is this person the Clan Master of the External Affairs Division?" Suyu thought for a moment and grabbed a jade pendant. A moment later, a giant blue bird flew over. It was the giant beast that had gone to Shunyue Island to pick up Xia Jingyu and Xiener. This bird could travel 1,000 miles in a day. Its speed was extremely fast. After flying for half a day, it crossed into the depths of the sea. Occasionally, small islands dotted the surroundings. It was desolate and uninhabited. Within 1,000 miles, there was no trace of anyone. This 1,000-mile radius is where the sea wolves pirates often appear. Next, it will depend on your own strength and luck. In a month, I will come here to pick you up if you are still alive. After leaving them on a small island, Clan Master Qin left on the giant bird. The group looked at each other in dismay, without a clue. Wu Pengyan glanced at Lu Guang and Princess Yunyan. How about the two of you follow me? Lu Guang and Princess Yunyan were shocked. They nodded without hesitation. All right, with Wu Pengyan's strength, it would be much less dangerous to team up with him. Princess Yunyan blinked her bright eyes, looked at Suyu, and said gently, Junior Suyu, why don't you come with us? Suyu glanced sideways. Putting Lu Guang aside, Wu Pengyan was cruel and merciless. He would not feel at ease working with him. Just as he was about to shake his head and refuse, Wu Pengyan coldly snorted. Although he is strong, he is not at the Holy King level and cannot sustain a long battle. If he joins us, he will sooner or later be a burden. Between him and me, Princess Yunyan, you can only choose one. Princess Yun was slightly startled and laughed at herself. The two of them were like fire and water. How could they work together? Princess Yunyan's bright eyes flickered as she pondered. In terms of strength, Suyu was not weaker than Wu Pengyan. Moreover, compared to the sinister Wu Pengyan, Princess Yunyan had a better impression of Suyu. However, after weighing the pros and cons, she still chose Wu Pengyan. There was only one reason. Wu Pengyan came from the third-ranked family of the 100 vassal clans. They had met before and knew each other well. Suyu was too mysterious and could not be rashly cooperated with. Junior Suyu, be careful. Princess Yun bowed apologetically. Wu Pengyan was proud. A just cause enjoys much support. An unjust cause finds little support. Suyu, take care. Suyu shrugged indifferently. You guys take care as well. After saying that, Suyu took the lead and left. He was actually acting alone. Lu Guang coldly snorted. Overestimating himself, he will suffer sooner or later. A few days later, somewhere in the sea, Suyu tried to turn his vital energy into wings. A pair of wings flapped, and he flew into the sky. Hidden among the clouds, Suyu looked down from a high vantage point. He could see everything within 100 miles. Suddenly, a small black dot appeared in Suyu's field of vision. With a thought, he floated above the black dot along with the clouds. Using his pupils to look, his expression turned serious. The small black dot was a giant ship with a picture of a sea wolf on it. It was the Sea Wolves pirates. Looking closely, there were as many as 10 half-holy kings. There was even a first-level lower-tier holy king. So he was slightly serious. It would be fine if this first-level lower-tier holy king had not cultivated a legacy-level cultivation technique. If he did, it would be extremely difficult to deal with him. Coupled with the 10 half-holy kings, it would be very troublesome. What comforted Suyu was that the people on the ship were not overly vigilant and seemed to be fishing for something underwater. Suyu was high up in the sky. Looking down, his pupils suddenly shrank. The 10-mile stretch of water where the big ship was actually a 10-mile wide palm print. Buried under the azure seawater, it was incomparably dark, like an unfathomable abyss that was slowly engulfing the pirate ship. Another 10-mile huge palm print. Suyu's breathing quickened. There was one on Shinua Island, and there was one here as well. Just at this moment, excited cheers came from below. We've come up. We've salvaged it. The pirates shouted excitedly, as if they had discovered a shocking treasure. Whoosh! The strong, holy kings in the cabin flew out, their faces filled with excitement. Ha ha! The heavens have eyes. The legendary treasure of the divine ice ancient kingdom has finally been found by us, the Sea Wolves pirates. Divine ice ancient kingdom? Suyu pondered. Could it be that this palm print had once destroyed a prosperous area? Thump! A huge copper coffin, covered in age and covered in rust, was carried onto the ship by 4 half-holy kings. However, at this moment, an unexpected scene occurred. Because of the vibration, the lid of the copper coffin opened slightly, and a terrifying layer of cold energy poured out. Creak! The 4 half-holy kings carrying the coffin were instantly frozen into ice sculptures. Their breaths were instantly extinguished. Suyu's pupils shrank. A wisp of cold energy had killed 4 half-holy kings. Crack! The aftermath of the cold energy spread in all directions. The huge bow of the ship, with the copper coffin as the center, was instantly frozen into ice. Ah! The strong holy king screamed as he was hit by the aftermath of the cold energy. Starting from his arm, the extreme cold spread throughout his body. Wherever it passed, flesh and blood turned into ice crystals. Even the holy king was about to die from the cold energy. Ha! The holy king clenched his teeth and cut off the ice arm with a single slash. Only then did he manage to escape with his life. Everyone retreat. Do not come within 100 feet of it. The holy king's face was filled with pain and fear. In the distance, the half-holy king who had survived the calamity was pale as he swallowed hard. Lord by Gu, this, what was buried with the coffin? How could it be so terrifying? The half-holy king was terrified as he stared at the copper coffin. The holy king pirate, named by Gu, said in a serious tone, "Buried within the copper coffin is the divine artifact of the divine ice ancient kingdom, the divine ice thread. It is a thread that contains the power of extreme cold. It once destroyed an entire country in one night. Tens of thousands of strong holy kings have died in its hands. It is even rumored that it has killed strong dragon realm fighters." Bai Gu's eyes were burning with passion, but his expression was grave. "Everyone step back, do not touch it. Immediately bring it back to the island and hand it over to the leader to deal with. This time, we have done a great service," Bai Gu said excitedly. However, just as the pirates broke through the ice and prepared to open the ship, rumble! A purple shadow descended from the sky and landed on top of the cold ice copper coffin. The cold energy that could kill even holy kings was unable to harm him in the slightest. His silver hair and purple robe fluttered as he stood on top of the divine ice ancient kingdom's copper coffin. The cold energy surrounded his body, as if the king of the divine ice ancient kingdom had suddenly descended through time and space. The divine artifact of the ancient kingdom. Since you do not dare to touch it, it would be impolite of me to refuse. At the same time, I will also borrow your lives. Suyu's cold voice was emotionless and cold, like the king of the divine ice ancient kingdom. Chapter 109. White Bones narrowed its eyes. "Are you a human or a ghost?" Even he was startled for a moment. "Dead people don't need to know so much." Suyu said coldly. Whoosh! His figure flickered as he flew toward the 2 half-step holy kings closest to him. Ice and Thunder Feast. The purplish-white light destroyed everything. After fusing in a wisp of weak spiritual energy, its power increased by 30%. Boom! Puff! The chest of the half-step holy king pirate exploded. He didn't even have the time to scream before he died on the spot. After fusing with the spiritual energy, the power of the moves would rise to a whole new level. "Let's attack together." Bai Gu's pupils constricted, and his heart skipped a beat. He formed an encirclement with the remaining 5 half-step holy kings. Bang! Crackle! The combined attack of 5 half-step holy kings was unfathomably powerful. Suyu's eyes were calm, and a purple lotus flower was spinning in his palm, swaying in the wind. It was as beautiful as a lotus-clothed beauty. Inside, it contained the destructive power of the thunder flame. After imbuing it with a small amount of spiritual energy, the purple light shone brightly, illuminating Suyu's handsome face. Purple star, thunderbolt. Bang! Purple lightning rumbled, as if it was the end of the world. It shook the heavens and shook the boundless clouds. The giant ship beneath their feet shook violently. It bobbed up and down in the vast sea, as if it couldn't withstand such destructive power. Legacy cultivation technique. Whitebone's scalp went numb, and the soles of his feet turned cold. The 5 half-step Holy Kings had been annihilated on the spot. With just one palm, he had killed 5 half-Holy Kings. It's your turn now. So you looked at Baigu calmly. He was missing an arm, and he didn't have any legacy cultivation technique. Whitebone's expression changed, and it actually soared into the air to escape. Can you escape? Suyu chased after him. Purple Star, Thunderbolt. Another purple lotus was formed and bombarded the back. Whitebones was scared out of its wits. It turned around and gathered all its spiritual chi, clenching its teeth to resist. Rumble. Whitebone was like a huge rock, drawing a beautiful arc in the air before falling back onto the ship. His chest had been blasted into a bloody mess. He howled in pain. As expected of a Holy King, his physiological limits far surpassed that of a martial artist. 5 half-Holy Kings had been destroyed with a single palm strike, yet Whitebones was still alive. It had merely sustained injuries that were neither light nor heavy. Whoosh, flying down, Suyu's eyes were like emerald pearls, blooming with green light. After a moment, Baigu stood up, trembling with fear. Its eyes were filled with struggle, and it followed behind Suyu unwillingly. Sighing in his heart, Suyu thought to himself, the deity-level cultivation technique, Infernal Demon Pupils, is gradually becoming useless. Whitebone's soul was not completely controlled. It could still struggle. Controlling a first-level lower-tier Holy King was the limit of Infernal Demon Pupils. Collect all the members' Jade tokens, Suyu ordered as he walked towards the copper coffin. He grabbed the lid of the bronze coffin with one hand, and a bone-chilling coldness rushed into his body from his palm, attempting to devour Suyu's life force. Dong dong, his icy heart suddenly throbbed, greedily absorbing the cold energy that entered his body. Suyu's cultivation level was faintly fluctuating, showing signs of improvement. The icy heart jewel absorbed the cold energy of heaven and earth to increase one's cultivation. The cold energy in this place was terrifying to ordinary people, but to Suyu, it was a tonic. When the coffin was opened, a large amount of cold air radiated in all directions. The 100-meter sea turned into ice. The huge warship was reduced to a huge ice sculpture. Whitebone's expression suddenly changed. Keeping the jade token, it soared into the sky, incomparably fearful. In its eyes, the silver-haired Suyu in the purple robe was like an inhuman king, the only creature unaffected in this icy world of death. Suyu looked over. Within the copper coffin was the frozen corpse of a woman. Even though countless years had passed, within the ice, the corpse was lifelike. It was a dignified middle-aged woman, with a crown on her head and a scepter in her hand. She must have been a peerless empress when she was alive. Suyu's gaze swept past her and fixed on her right thumb. A crystal ring emitted a gentle glow. A threatening cold energy seeped out. The cold energy within the copper coffin was emitted by the crystal ring. This ring is the divine ice threads. Suyu did not understand. There was only the ring, but no divine ice threads. In the sanctuary, the entwined dragon silk that Suyu had obtained had been wrapped around the black jade ring, visible to the naked eye. Now, there was only the ring, but no divine ice threads. Could it have been destroyed over the years? Master, this ring is called the divine ice ring. It contains a space the size of a fist, and within that space is the divine ice threads, Whitebones explained. There was a space within? Suyu was shocked. It was rumored that the Sumeru storage ring contained a space within that could contain anything in the world. This item had only been heard of, but no one had ever seen it. Even though there was only a space the size of a fist, it was definitely a divine artifact, not to mention the coiled divine ice threads within. Creak! The purple thunder flames danced, flying above the ice sculpture, gradually melting the layer of ice. Elder, I have offended you. Suyu clasped his hands together, bowing apologetically. He waited for the ice sculpture to melt before taking off the divine ice ring. The bone-chilling cold invaded Su Yu's body, crazily devouring everything. The cold energy was so strong that a thin layer of ice formed on the surface of his palm. White Bones watched with trepidation. If a normal person were to hold this item, they would instantly turn into ice. Luckily, the icy heart core continuously absorbed the cold energy, restoring his palm to its original state. Wearing the divine ice ring, Su Yu's confidence increased. The entwined dragon silk had been completely destroyed when he was dealing with the Slayer King in the evil forest. Now, he had obtained the divine artifact of the ancient kingdom, making up for this regret. What is the origin of the divine ice ancient kingdom? Other than you, has anyone else discovered it? Su Yu asked. White Bones shook its head. We found out from a treasure map that the ancient divine ice ancient kingdom was buried at the bottom of the sea. We followed the treasure map to this place. Other than us, I'm afraid no one else knows. The divine ice ancient kingdom was rumored to be a powerful and prosperous country in the ancient times. It was incomparably prosperous, but it was mysteriously destroyed overnight, disappearing into the dust of time. White Bones was also at a loss. If that was the case, the ruins of the divine ice ancient kingdom were underwater. It was unknown if there were other treasures. The divine ice threads are the divine artifact of the divine ice ancient kingdom. Other than that, there is also the divine ice temple underwater. It is rumored to be the training ground of the ancient divine ice ancient kingdom's powerful fighters. It is well preserved and definitely contains many treasures. It is just that it is guarded by a second-level Holy King Sea Beast, and no one can enter. Second-level Holy King Sea Beast? Su Yu gasped a mouthful of cold air. Without thinking, Su Yu immediately dismissed the idea of personally searching for treasures in the sea. Against a second-level Holy King Sea Beast, Su Yu would be nothing. Give me the jade token, Su Yu ordered. White Bones threw the jade token over. However, at that moment, White Bones suddenly saw a huge black shadow moving on the surface of the sea below Su Yu. It was so huge that it covered a radius of a mile, covering the entire ship. Ah, you! Under your feet. White Bones's lips trembled, its expression changing. Su Yu's heart skipped a beat, as if he had missed a beat. A terrifying aura came from the bottom of the sea below his feet, rushing towards the sky. That terrifying feeling caused Su Yu's body to stiffen, his heart thumping wildly. It was as if Level 1 was facing Level 9, the crushing despair of a colossal being. Whoosh! Without the slightest bit of hesitation, Su Yu fled into the sky without turning back. Whoosh! Grabbing the jade token from White Bones' hand. White Bones was still in shock. It was obviously further away from the sea than Su Yu, but at that moment, it was behind Su Yu. When it came to its senses, it frantically followed behind Su Yu. Split up. Don't follow me. Su Yu let out a low grunt. Escaping together would only give the enemy an opportunity to focus and destroy them. However, just as Su Yu finished speaking, a scream came from behind him. Looking back, Su Yu's scalp went numb. A ray of black light shot out from under the water, piercing through White Bones' body. In the end, White Bones instantly turned into a handful of black ashes. Not even its bones were left. Looking under the water, a spherical sea monster with a diameter of 500 feet surfaced. Its body was soft like a ball of stinky mud. But on top of the sea monster's head, there were 100 pairs of eyes. It was those eyes that shot out the black light that turned White Bones into ashes. It was the sea monster that guarded the divine ice temple. It had the terrifying strength of a second-level Holy King. Whoosh! Whoosh! Several rays of black light pierced through the sky, shooting towards the escaping Su Yu. His heart trembling, Su Yu hurriedly dodged. In a moment of carelessness, a ray of black light brushed past the vital energy wings behind him. Creak! His vital energy had vanished into thin air. Su Yu stumbled, almost falling. At that moment, 10 terrifying rays of black light took the opportunity to shoot towards him. Su Yu's heart thumped, the illusion of death descending upon him. At that critical moment, Su Yu gave up on vital energy and switched to floating light shadow, flying through the air. Whoosh, whoosh. Suyu managed to avoid most of the black light. But one was extremely tricky, shooting straight for Suyu's chest. He had no way of avoiding it. Purple Star Thunderbolt. Suyu growled, infusing all his spirit energy into it, clenching his teeth as he resisted. Rumble. The purple lotus exploded, shaking the black light. Poof! Although the black light was strong, its range was too far, and it gradually lost its cohesion. Coupled with the purple thunder, it finally dissipated. But a trace of black light still splashed onto Suyu's body. Poof! Suyu felt as if he had been hit by a mountain. His internal organs trembled violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was sent flying hundreds of meters like a cannonball. In an instant, Suyu was seriously injured. But with the force of the rebound, Suyu was far away from the sea monster's attack range. He took advantage of the momentum to fly into the clouds, escaping with serious injuries. An hour later, Suyu landed on a deserted island. He leaned against the reef, gasping for breath. His blood was pale, his expression pained, and his mouth was bleeding nonstop. This was the first time in Suyu's life that he had been so seriously injured. But if anyone knew that Suyu was lucky enough to survive an attack from a second-level Holy King, they would have praised Suyu's good luck. If he had hesitated like the White Bones, he would have suffered the same fate. Suyu would not be able to fight for the next 10 days. He sat cross-legged, channeling his spirit energy, gradually recuperating from his injuries. Whoosh! But at that moment, 3 figures descended from the sky. A fierce aura came crashing down. Suyu's pupils shrank, his heart trembling. Could it be a pirate attack? Oh, it's Junior Su? An elegant and melodious voice with a hint of surprise came from Princess Yun. The 3 of them were Wu Pongyun's team, mistakenly thinking that the island was a pirate. She slowly withdrew the spirit energy gathered in her hands. Taking a step forward, Princess Yun examined Suyu's injuries and could not help but be surprised. Junior Su, how did you get so seriously injured? Wu Pangyun and Lu Guang hesitated for a moment, then reluctantly withdrew their spirit energy. I thought it was a lone pirate. I was happy for nothing. Wu Pangyun lightly spat, secretly cursing his bad luck. Lu Guang looked Suyu up and down, a mocking expression on his face. Weren't you arrogant back then? Acting alone? How did my great hero get beaten up like a dog? Princess Yun frowned, glanced at Lu Guang, and took out a few healing elixirs. Junior Su, this is a rejuvenation elixir. It can speed up the recovery of injuries. Suyu was stunned for a moment, then gratefully accepted it. Thank you, Princess. What kind of enemy did you meet? How did you get so seriously injured? Could you have met a first-level upper-tier Holy King? Princess Yun asked solemnly. Lu Guang sneered. TSK, you think too highly of him. If he had really met a first-level upper-tier Holy King with the savagery and combat experience of the pirates, how could he have survived until now? So you turned a deaf ear to Princess Yun. He sighed. I met a team of Seawolves pirates, 10 half-Holy Kings, and 1 first-level lower-tier Holy King. I was seriously injured. Princess Yun was shocked. What? You actually met so many Seawolves pirates? There were 10 half-step Holy Kings and 1 first-level lower-tier Holy King. With such a lineup, either she or Lu Guang would have suffered a grievance. Even Wu Pangyun would have suffered some injuries. But with your abilities, if you had wanted to escape, you would not have been so seriously injured. Could it be that you fought them head-on and killed them all? Princess Yun was exceptionally intelligent. Suyu vigilantly glanced at Lu Guang and Wu Pangyun, helplessly nodding. Yes, more or less. Hearing that Suyu had killed them all, Princess Yun was shocked. Lu Guang's sneering face slightly stiffened, gradually turning serious. Only that kind of lineup could seriously injure Suyu to this extent. Wu Pangyun was more envious. Oof, your luck is really as good as before to actually be able to encounter so many Seawolves pirates, and furthermore, you even survived. The 3 of them had only met 10 pirates in 5 days, and all of them were half-Holy Kings. Suyu's harvest alone was more than the 3 of them combined. Let's go. Wu Pangyun could not be bothered to look at Suyu anymore. soaring into the sky. Lu Guang also got up and left. Before he left, his eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. Princess Yin Yin had a comforting expression. Junior Suyu, be careful. Finishing her words, her delicate body rose into the sky, giving chase. Suyu secretly shook his head. If you were to tell them that his injuries were caused by that terrifying second-level Holy King, they would never believe him. As for the Sea Wolves pirates, they had not harmed him in the slightest. However, after swallowing the rejuvenation elixir, Suyu's eyes flashed, and he left the island. Half a day later, a figure circled the island and suddenly descended. Umph, cunning little bastard. He really escaped. Lu Guang snorted angrily. Suyu had 11 jade tokens. With such a huge contribution, Lu Guang was naturally envious. In addition, Suyu was seriously injured. If he did not take his life now, then when? He had taken advantage of the rest of the team, using the excuse of going out to investigate the Sea Wolves pirates, but in reality, he was after Suyu's life and jade tokens. The depth of his hatred for Suyu was self-evident. It was just that he did not have the opportunity to strike. Now was a godsend opportunity. Unexpectedly, Suyu seemed to have predicted that someone would return to take his life while he was seriously injured. Thus, he escaped first. Count yourself lucky. Lu Guang was furious. He flapped his wings of vital energy and was about to fly away. However, at this moment, crash, the sound of waves breaking could be heard. A purple-robed, silver-haired youth flew out from the sea. His eyes were as deep as the starry sky, filled with playfulness and coldness. Lu Guang, how have you been? I've been waiting for you here for a long time. Lu Guang was quite surprised. He looked over, but his eyes were filled with joy. There was no one there. Lu Guang did not hide his ferocious gaze. Suyu, you should really regret coming to the Zhenlong continent. If you were on Shunyue Island, I wouldn't have bothered to look for you. But since you've delivered yourself to me, don't blame me for being ruthless and disregarding our ties. Suyu stood with his hands behind his back. His internal injuries were still serious, but he had a mysterious smile on his face. Just as well, I've wanted to kill you for a long time. If not for Su Rong stopping me, you would have died by my hands long ago. Now, your good luck has been used up. From the moment he had humiliated Sienner, Suyu had marked his life with a death mark. But he had not had the chance to do so until today. Haha, how much power do you have left in a seriously injured state? Do you think you're fit to kill me? Lu Guang laughed loudly, his killing intent clear.